Chapter 7, 75. Spent it all. Did you steal a lot of money from them? Lin Yi looked at Blackbird and his underlings. They didn't look like good people. In comparison, Lin Yi was more inclined towards Yu Xiaoka. Not a lot. Only 100,000 or so. Yu Xiaoka said carefully. Damn. Lin Yi was shocked. 100,000 is not a lot. No wonder they want to play with you. Can't you just return the money to them? I can't return it. How can I return it all? Yu Xiaoka said with a sad face. 100,000? You spent it all. Why are you wearing such shabby clothes? Lin Yi found it hard to believe. I didn't spend it. I gave it to someone else. Yu Xiaoka said. Can't you help me? I know you're good. Gave it to someone else? You stole money and gave it to someone else? Are you crazy? Lin Yi wanted to help Yu Xiaoka, but after hearing her words, he felt that it was better to stay away from her. You're the one who's crazy. I need to feed the entire orphanage. There are hundreds of people in it. How long can 100,000 be enough? Yu Xiaoka glared at Lin Yi. Lin Yi was startled. He didn't expect Yu Xiaoka to steal money to feed her family. But one person feeding 100 people? That sounded a little ridiculous. However, the word orphanage made Lin Yi's heart move. Lin Yi hadn't seen his parents since he was young. He was basically an orphan. If it wasn't for his master and the old man, Lin Yi might have grown up in an orphanage. So, Lin Yi decided to believe Yu Xiaoka for once. How much do you owe me? I'll pay it for you first. It's not as simple as just owing money. I also kicked Blackbird Bro's balls. Xiaoka blushed as she said softly, Huh. Lin Yi's eyes widened. No way. So violent? Did he just kick someone's balls? No wonder he wanted to play with you. No matter who it was, they would feel unbalanced. Lin Yi thought to himself, even if I'm a genius doctor, I can't give him a new one after kicking him for so long. Then let him play. I can't do anything. How can I do that? Xiaoka's eyes widened. I'm still a virgin, okay? I heard that virginity is worth a lot of money. I was thinking that one day, when the children in the orphanage don't have enough to eat, I would sell my virginity. Pfft. Lin Yi almost choked to death after hearing Xiaoka's words. Xiaoka's idea was quite shocking. But if that was what Xiaoka was thinking, then he respected her quite a bit. Could a girl really make such a big sacrifice for a group of orphans? Lin Yi looked at Xiaoka's eyes. She didn't look like she was lying. That was why Lin Yi believed Xiaoka for now. Okay. Can you help me first? I, Yu Xiaoka, am a famous heroine in Jianghu, and everyone knows that I'm loyal. If you're in trouble in the future, I won't hesitate to help you. Yu Xiaoka saw that Lin Yi had the intention to help her and quickly continued. All right, I'll help you. Heroine? Female cat burglar? Lin Yi shrugged. I don't think I'm in trouble. What the hell? You two are whispering to each other. Do you think I don't exist? Blackbird was about to explode from anger. How did a pretty boy appear out of nowhere and become Yu Xiaoka's husband? But I don't care if you are Yu Xiaoka's husband or not. Since you're here, don't even think about leaving. Songshan's thief organization and Fian sect had been enemies for a long time. Since Lin Yi was Yu Xiaoka's husband, he must be a member of Fian sect. Since they met today, they would fight together. I didn't pretend that you don't exist, but it doesn't matter to me whether you exist or not. Lin Yi looked at Blackbird and said, What's your name? Good. Gigolo, you're very arrogant. Blackbird laughed coldly. But I don't know if you can still be so arrogant later. Have you heard of me, Blackbird? Lin Yi smiled coldly. But I don't know if you can still be so arrogant later. Blackbird was the second in command of the Songshan thief organization. Naturally, he was a well-known figure. Anyone in this line of work would know his name. Even the rogue thieves had to pay a visit to Brother Blackbird before they could commit crimes in Songshan. No, Lin, he shook his head honestly. But Blackbird bro, right? Since you and she are both thieves, we're in the same industry. Let's just forget about this. Don't look for trouble. A thief is a thief. Don't cross the line and do some hooligan things. What the hell? Who do you think you are? How dare you lecture me? Blackbird was furious. He pointed at Lin Yi and said to his 4 subordinates, "Beat this kid until he's disabled. Then we'll play with you Xiaoka." Okay, Blackbird bro. The 4 men surrounded Lin Yi. Yu Xiaoka was nervous. When she saw Lin Yi, she wanted him to save her. It was out of instinct. In this empty alley, Lin Yi was her only hope. But now that Lin Yi was here, Yu Xiaoka was worried. Lin Yi was alone, and there were 5 men. Could Lin Yi deal with them? Lin Yi didn't look strong. Yu Xiaoka believed that Lin Yi could deal with one of them. She could fight one of them alone. That was why she dared to follow the thief to this empty alley. Yu Xiaoka thought that she could deal with it, even if it was a robbery. But who would have thought that the situation would take a turn for the worse, and she was surrounded by 5 people. Xiaoka could only rely on Lin Yi in a moment of desperation. "Can you do it?" Yu Xiaoka asked worriedly. "I can't." "Why don't you do it?" Lin Yi smiled and asked. "Then you do it. Good luck." Yu Xiaoka saw that Lin Yi wasn't nervous at all. She was relieved. It seemed that Lin Yi was confident. Otherwise, he would be thinking of running away. "Brat, be sensible and let your brother play with your wife. Then you can leave." One of the men looked down on Lin Yi. He felt that Lin Yi couldn't even take 1 punch from him. "That's right. Look at your gentle face. You can be a thief, but you can't fight, right? Don't ruin your face. It'll be inconvenient for you to commit crimes in the future." Another man mocked. Chapter 776. Protective Armor Art F***CK. This kid is still so stubborn even in the face of death. Beat him until his mother can't recognize him. The burly man who had demanded that Lin Yi give up his wife looked as if he had been greatly insulted. He glared and swung his fist at Lin Yi. Bam! The burly man's fist landed on Lin Yi's body. This punch was very solid. The burly man was very pleased with himself. This kid was really an idiot. He didn't even know how to dodge. Even he didn't expect that his punch would land. Wasn't he too lucky? The burly man imagined the scene of Lin Yi flying backwards. He was very pleased. However, in the next moment, he felt that something was wrong, because he suddenly felt a sharp pain coming from his fist. Ah! The burly man screamed and retracted his fist. His fist had already changed shape. It could no longer be called a fist. It had completely turned into a meat patty. It was obviously fractured. I'm so sorry. I accidentally broke the hand that you rely on for survival." Lin Yi looked at the burly man with a broken hand regretfully. He touched the place where the burly man had hit him. "Looks like this protective armor art is not bad. It's quite useful, huh?" The burly man, who was rolling on the ground in pain, was stunned when he heard Lin Yi's words. Then he felt a little resentful. Why did this kid wear protective armor art when he went out? If he had known, why would he have hit him? He should have hit his head. How unlucky! However, there was no use in being unlucky. There was no medicine for regret in this world. He could only accept the fact that his hand was broken. The other 3 burly men who hadn't made a move initially thought that Lin Yi had practiced some kind of divine skill when they saw the burly man on the ground suddenly break his hand. They didn't dare to make a move. But after hearing Lin Yi's words, they came to a sudden realization. So this kid had a treasure on him to protect himself. In that case, there would be no problem. It wasn't that this brat could take a beating, but it was the armor he was wearing. In that case, wouldn't it be better to just hit his head directly? Blackbird was shocked by Lin Yi and didn't know what to do. When he heard that Lin Yi had a treasure, he was overjoyed. Go! Snatch his armor. Blackbird couldn't help but look forward to it. If he could have this armor, he could wear it whenever he went out. He wouldn't have to be afraid of being caught stealing anymore. Whoever dared to beat him would have to pay the price in blood. Looking at his underling on the ground, his arm was broken, right? Black Bird hated himself for not meeting Lin Yi earlier. If he'd met Lin Yi earlier and gotten this treasure, he wouldn't have been kicked by Xiaoka. Xiaoka would have broken his leg. He was born at the wrong time. Black Bird felt that it was a pity, but it wasn't too late. At least with this armor, he could protect his only remaining egg from being attacked. The three men already had the intention to attack Lin Yi. When they heard Black Bird's order, they were eager to make a contribution. They swung their fists at Lin Yi's head. Bang! 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 With three muffled sounds, the three men punched Lin Yi's head at the same time. From their point of view, even if Lin Yi didn't faint, he would at least have a concussion. However, it was too early for them to be happy. Before they could react, a sharp pain came from their fists. Ah, my hand. It hurts. Why is his head so hard? Mine is broken too. How is this possible? The hands of the three burly men were also twisted beyond recognition. It was as miserable as one could imagine. The three men rolled on the ground in pain. It was embarrassing enough. You have armor on your head as well? Blackbird was also shocked by the scene. He couldn't believe that his subordinates, who were still alive and kicking a few moments ago, were now crippled. Yes, Lin Yi nodded. How is this possible? How come I didn't see it? Blackbird was stunned. Yu Xiaoka was surprised as well. It was understandable that Lin Yi had armor on his body, but how could there be armor on his head? Moreover, Yu Xiaoka suspected Lin Yi's words from the beginning. She was very close to Lin Yi and could clearly see that other than a shirt, Lin Yi didn't have any other clothes on. How could there be armor on his head? The fists of the four people on the ground did not seem to have hit anything hard at all. Even if a person's fist hit an iron sheet, they would at most get a swollen fist or a fractured joint. It was impossible for their fists to become like this. Judging from the condition of these people's fists, it seemed as if they had been forcefully destroyed and compressed by some external force. Their hands were completely distorted, as if they had been blown up by an explosion. As a result, Xiaoka doubted whether the armor he was talking about was real or not. Of course you can't see it, Lin Yi said calmly, because this is the martial art that I practice. It's called armor. Huh. Are you *King kidding me? Blackbird heard Lin Yi's words and was furious. He felt like he was played by Lin Yi. He thought that Lin Yi had some kind of treasure on him, but he didn't expect that Lin Yi didn't have any treasure at all. Instead, he practiced armor. I'm not kidding. I told you before that it's armor, Lin Yi said innocently. But you didn't say that it's armor. Blackbird gritted his teeth in anger. He was humiliated today. He wanted to teach Yu Xiaoka a lesson, but he didn't expect Yu Xiaoka's boyfriend to appear out of nowhere. Not only did Yu Xiaoka defeat his four underlings, but he also seemed to be fine. That's my abbreviation. I thought you knew it. I didn't expect you to be so stupid. Lin Yi looked at Blackbird mockingly. Kid, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you practice some body-hardening martial art. Do you know who I am? Blackbird pretended to be fierce. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be so strange. I know. Didn't you say that you are called Blackbird? Did you change your name again? Lin Yi looked at Blackbird strangely. Was this guy like Yushu, who liked to change his name? Yushu's name change was cute, but this guy was an idiot. I, Blackbird, am the second in command of Songshan's thief organization. Now that you hurt my men, how are you going to pay for this? Blackbird wasn't stupid. He knew that he couldn't use force anymore. His four underlings had lost their ability to fight, and he was the only one left. If he continued to fight with Lin Yi, wouldn't he be humiliating himself? Chapter 777. Let's call someone, oh? You said you're the second in command of the Songshan Thief Organization? Lin Yi froze when he heard Black Bird Bro's name. It was a little funny in his heart. Silly girl. Silly girl. Why is your luck always so good? It seems like you've gotten lucky ever since you met me. Lingshan had called Lin Yi earlier, asking him to help keep an eye out for the thief organization in Songshan, and Lin Yi had only said it casually. He didn't have any intentions of helping Lingshan look for them at all. Lin Yi had enough things to do every day, and he didn't have the time to help Lingshan look for some thief organization. However, Lin Yi didn't expect that the second in command of the Songshan Thief Organization would come knocking on his door after just one day. Since the second in command was out, how could he lure the first in command out as well? Lin Yi thought that since he'd bumped into her, he might as well help Lingshan get rid of her as well. It wasn't a big deal, and the song girl had been quite obedient lately. He decided to give her some more benefits. How is it? Are you scared now? Black Bird Bro saw Lin Yi's expression and thought that Lin Yi was scared of him. He was very proud of himself. Let me tell you, although our thief organization isn't as ruthless as the Mafia, we're still not someone you can mess with as a disciple of the Fian sect. You know Tsihua Bro, right? I do. Lin Yi nodded and thought, Tsihua still owes me 300,000 for the car compensation. How can I not know him? Tsihua Bro is protecting our thief organization, so you know what to do, right? Blackbird Bro knew that Lin Yi knew Tsihua. This saved him the trouble of explaining. Since you know Tsihua, do you still dare to mess with us? What to do? They were the ones who hit me. I didn't do anything, right? Lin Yi shrugged and said innocently, F***CK. Blackbird was stunned. He thought about it carefully and realized that it was indeed the case. Lin Yi just stood there motionlessly, and it was his men who beat him up. In this way, it wasn't Lin Yi who hit someone, but his subordinate who was careless and injured himself. Who told you to practice that armor? With Tsihua's name, Black Bird became more confident. He didn't think that Lin Yi would dare to do anything to him after hearing Tsihua's name. I'll give you 2 choices now. First, apologize to us and prepare a table of wine. Then, compensate my brothers with 1,800,000 in medical fees, and we'll forget about this. I don't have money, and it's not my fault. My body is like this. Who told them to attack me with their fists instead of knives or other weapons? Lin Yi listened carefully to Blackbird's words and smiled bitterly. Then what's the second choice? Blackbird was stunned after hearing Lin Yi's words. Was Lin Yi an idiot? Why did he expose his own weakness? So he was afraid of weapons and knives. All right, I didn't know what the second choice was to threaten you with, but now I have one. The second option is that I can call a group of thieves with knives, and they will hack you to death. No matter what kind of armor you have learned, you will die. Brother Black Bird threatened. Xiaoka was shocked. Lin Yi would expose his weakness? Tell Black Bird his weakness? Xiaoka didn't believe it. From her point of view, Lin Yi was a smart person. Even she was fooled by him a few times. Why would Lin Yi tell Black Bird his weakness? Moreover, from Xiaoka's point of view, Lin Yi's so-called armor was complete **T. Blackbird fell into the misunderstanding that Lin Yi gave him from the start. He thought that Lin Yi used his body to cause the injuries on the 4 men's hands. In fact, Xiaoka didn't think that was the truth. Although she didn't know how Lin Yi did it, Xiaoka felt that Lin Yi must have done something. I'm so scared. Lin Yi pretended to be scared, but I really don't have money. What should I do? As he spoke, Lin Yi turned to Xiaoka. Honey, how much money do we have left in our vault? Where do we have money? We've spent it all. Xiaoka didn't expect Lin Yi to suddenly say that. After a moment of daze, she cooperated with him. She wanted to see what trick Lin Yi was playing. However, Blackbird was going to be unlucky. From Xiaoka's understanding of Lin Yi, Lin, he wasn't someone who liked to suffer losses. Last time she stole his wallet, he took it back with interest. Since Black Bird provoked Lin, how could Lin let him go so easily? Look, my wife said that we don't have money. Lin looked at Black Bird helplessly. Fuck, I think you two won't give up until you see the coffin. Black Bird naturally didn't believe Xiaoka's words. Xiaoka had stolen more than 100,000 yuan from robbers. In addition to the money she stole herself, she had probably stolen more than 1,000,000 yuan. Since Black Bird caught these two, how could he let them go so easily? Xiaoka's qigong was good. If he let her go this time, he didn't know when he would catch her again. Also, this Lin, he was very strange. He practiced some kind of armor skill. Even if he let him go this time, it would be difficult to catch him again. No, Blackbird bro, look, we really don't have money. Lin shrugged. If we had money, we wouldn't steal money. Right, honey? Yeah. We steal money because we lack money. Who would want to be a thief if they have money? Who would want to do such a bad job? Xiaoka nodded. Fuck, are you saying that I'm bad? Blackbird was enraged. Fine, you have guts. If you have guts, don't leave. Stand here and wait. I won't kill you. As he spoke, Blackbird took out his phone and dialed a number. Giant dear bro, I'm Blackbird. I met Xiaoka and her man from Fian sect at Old Tao Alley. Her man is a bit difficult to deal with. I need 10 people with knives to come and chop him up. After Blackbird finished the call, he looked at Lin fiercely. Are you scared now? I'm not joking. I'm telling you, don't even think about running. Songshan is Tsihua Bro's territory. You can't run even if you want to. If you don't give me an explanation today, don't even think about making a living in Songshan. Chapter 778. Sect Leader Senior Sister Lingshan. What do you mean? Blackbird froze after hearing Lin Yi's words. You'll know what I mean soon, Lin Yi said as he took out his phone and called Lingshan. Lingshan was currently at the police station collecting the final evidence of the kidney trafficking organization. With Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Wen's testimonies, the case could basically be closed. Lingshan's phone rang and she took it out. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw Lin Yi's name on the screen. She quickly picked up the phone. Good man, why did you call me? Lingshan was alone in her office, and there were no outsiders, so she didn't need to hide anything. Song Shiji, I'm at Old Tao Alley, and I'm surrounded by the thief organization of Songshan. A second-in-command called Blackbird Bro is looking for people to kill me. Lin, he said directly. What? You found the thief organization's member? Or their second-in-command? Lingshan's blood was boiling after hearing Lin Yi's words. She really wanted to rush over and give Lin Yi a kiss. He solved the case so quickly. She just told him about the thief organization yesterday, and he solved it for her today? Lin Yi was such a good man, and he treated her so well. It seemed like Lin Yi liked her silly girl very much. Otherwise, why would he help her like this? Lingshan couldn't hold back her joy. As for the Song Shiji that Lin Yi called her, Lingshan didn't understand. Since when did she become Song Shiji? Our Fian sect has been holding grudges against them for a long time. Head Shiji, you need to send some people to help us. We're going all out today, and we'll fight it out with the thief organization. Lin Yi didn't answer Lingshan's words, but continued. Bring more people, or else we'll be at a disadvantage. All right, I'll bring them over now. Lingshan wasn't an idiot. Lin Yi's words were a little weird, but she understood what he was implying. He wanted her to bring a large force over. Senior Sister Sect Leader, you came personally? That's great. I'll wait for you here. Lin Yi didn't wait for Lingshan to reply and hung up. He pointed at Blackbird and said, Who doesn't know how to find people? Our sect leader senior sister has said that because our Flying Sparrow Gate and your group of thieves have a long-standing grudge. Today we will fight to the death here. Xiaoka's eyes were wide open. Who is Lin Yi calling? Senior sister sect leader? How could the Flying Swallow School have a sect leader, Shiji? This branch of the Flying Sparrow School had been passed down to only one disciple, and he was the only disciple. Moreover, Lin Yi wasn't even a member of the Flying Sparrow School, so why was he acting so well? However, although Xiaoka was confused, she didn't voice it out. She decided to wait and see. Lin Yi must have his reasons for doing this, and Xiaoka had a feeling that Blackbird was going to be in big trouble soon. Fuck, I said that you guys are fat and you're panicking? Blackbird heard that Lin Yi called the Flying Sparrow School's sect leader Shiji over, and he was a little angry. Do you think I don't know how to call people? Since your Flying Sparrow School doesn't know what's good for you, we'll destroy you guys today. People of the same trade were enemies, especially the Flying Sparrow School, which often took advantage of others. The thief group hated them deeply. Of course, they only knew that Xiaoka was from the Flying Sparrow School, but they didn't know the structure of the Flying Sparrow School. They didn't know where Xiaoka lived or what her real identity was. Otherwise, Xiaoka wouldn't be able to live peacefully in the orphanage. From Blackbird's point of view, Xiaoka wasn't the only member of the Flying Sparrow School, but Xiaoka was one of the more conspicuous ones. He had never seen this Lin Yi before, but Blackbird believed that Lin Yi must have done a lot of shady business, but he was more secretive about it. Blackbird had already blamed Lin Yi for all the failures in the gang. He felt that the Flying Sparrow School must have done something, so his hatred for the Flying Sparrow School had reached a new level. Brother Blackbird dialed Brother Giant Deer's number again and said, "Brother Giant Deer, Fiengate is also calling for reinforcements. They are preparing to fight with us. Their senior sister has already taken action. What do we do?" "What? The Flying Sparrow School is calling people over? Their sect leader is coming as well." Giant Deer froze for a second, then he was overjoyed. "Since they want to die, then don't blame us. I only wanted to send 10 people. But this time, I'll bring all the members of the thief organization and kill them." Okay, Giant Deer Bro, I'll wait for you." Blackbird heard that Giant Deer Bro was coming, and he instantly felt confident. His thief organization had 40 to 50 people, and if all of them came, wouldn't they be able to kill the Flying Sparrow School? How many people could the Flying Sparrow School have? 8 to 10 at most. Blackbird Bro didn't put them in his eyes at all. From his point of view, if the Flying Sparrow School had more people, they wouldn't be in such a miserable state in Songshan, and Xiaoka wouldn't be so weak. After hanging up the phone, Blackbird pointed at Lin Yi and said, "Kid, so what if your sect leader is here? Giant Deer Bro brought all the members of our thief organization here, and we'll kill you all." "Ah, it can't be? Your sect leader is here too?" Lin Yi pretended to be surprised, but in his heart he thought, "I was afraid that you guys wouldn't come." The reason why Lin Yi acted like this was because he wanted Blackbird to call all the members of the thief organization over, and then he would kill them all at once. Otherwise, with Lin Yi's skills, it would be easy to take down Blackbird Bro. But after taking him down, it wouldn't be easy to wipe out the thief organization. Blackbird Bro was caught, and the thief organization would definitely be alerted. It was basically impossible to kill them all at once. However, Lin Yi cleverly used the grudge between the Flying Sparrow School and the thief organization to lure all the members of the thief organization over. Blackbird probably didn't even think that the person Lin Yi called wasn't the Flying Sparrow School, but the criminal police captain Ling Shan. In fact, Blackbird didn't even think about this. He already thought that Lin Yi was with Yu Xiaoka, so how could he be related to the police? It was a complete fantasy. Under normal circumstances, Giant Deer Bro wouldn't appear personally, as he had to be on guard against the sudden attack of the police. However, the Songshan Thief Organization and the Flying Sparrow School had a long history of grudges, and Giant Deer Bro had wanted to kill the Flying Sparrow School for a long time. Chapter 779. Chapter 0779. The real side of you, Xiaoke, even the head of the Flying Sparrow sect, was here. So how could the head of the thief organization, Giant Deer Bro, not come personally? How is it? Are you scared now? Your puny Fian Gate is no match for our gang of thieves. Blackbird saw Lin Yi's scared face and felt great. You should think about what to do later. Our big boss is here, and it's not something that can be settled with just 1,000,000 or 800,000. Man, Lin Yi sighed, troubled as he dialed Ling Shan's number again. Good person, what are you doing? I'm on my way. Ling Shan saw that Lin Yi was calling again and quickly picked up. She was driving the cheetah, and there was no one else in the car. Head sister, it's bad. The big boss of the thief organization, Giant Deer Bro, is coming with all his men to kill us. What should we do? You have to bring more people. Lin Yi said pitifully. Don't worry, I've brought all my squadrons. Everyone who doesn't have a mission. The security team is coming with us, as well, Ling Shan said. It can't be, head sister. We only have 10 or so people. We won't be able to fight them. Lin Yi continued with a bitter face. You have to think of a way to get more people to help us, or we're done for. Ling Shan couldn't help but laugh. Did Lin Yi have a dumb side too? Ling Shan knew that Lin Yi was faking it, and that he was messing with her. But she still felt that it was very fun. All right, I'll try to get more people. Ling Shan couldn't help but laugh. Lin Yi hung up and looked at Xiaoke with a bitter face. Honey, it's bad. Head sister can only get 10 or so people. What should we do? There's no need to do anything. Just think about how you're going to compensate us later. Blackbird looked at Lin Yi's helpless expression and laughed. You're hilarious. You want to find someone to help you? You don't have enough people, yet you're still looking for reinforcements? Look at the time, it's already too late. Yeah, what should we do? Lin Yi sighed. Don't worry, maybe senior sister sect leader has a way. Xiaoke knew that Lin Yi was acting. If Lin Yi really couldn't find anyone, why would he stand there and wait for Blackbird's men to kill him? It was obvious that Lin Yi had a plan. Otherwise, it would be a piece of cake for him to defeat Blackbird and run away. That's the only way. Lin Yi nodded. One had to admit that the thief organization was very efficient, or rather, their headquarters wasn't far from here. After a while, a group of people with knives and iron rods rushed over from the front and back of Old Tao Alley, surrounding Lin Yi and Xiaoke in the middle. Blackbird was overjoyed when he saw his men. When he saw Giant Deer, he quickly ran over. Giant Deer Bro, it's them. One is Xiaoke, and the other is her man. Oh, what happened to the 4 brothers on the ground? Giant Deer looked at the 4 men who were wailing on the ground and frowned. That kid practiced a skill called armor protection technique. We tried to punch him, but we ended up like this. Blackbird quickly explained. That strong? Giant Deer froze. He didn't expect that there was such a skill. Wouldn't it be bad luck for whoever hit him? Yes, it's really strong. However, he accidentally said that he's not afraid of being hit, but he's afraid of being cut by knives. Blackbird said proudly, I think he's not afraid of heart attacks, but he's afraid of sharp knives. And that makes sense. Giant Deer nodded. While the two were talking, Xiaoke had some free time. She whispered to Lin Yi, Hey, did you call for help? There are so many of them. Can you do it? If I can't, I'll run. Lin Yi smiled. I'm not joking with you. I can't die. If I die, no one will take care of the children in the orphanage. They will starve to death. Xiao Xiao was panicking. Did you really come out to steal money for the children in the orphanage? Lin Yi looked at Xiaoke. From her appearance, she didn't look like a luxurious person. With her daily income, she shouldn't be dressed like this. Of course. You want to donate to me? I'll accept it too, Xiaoke said. You can find another way to earn money. It's not good to steal money all the time. Lin Yi didn't like the profession of thief, but he didn't hate it either. After all, his master was a master thief. However, Lin Yi felt that Xiaoke's skills were too weak. With this level of skill, She would fall sooner or later. What kind of profession can earn money that fast? Xiaoka rolled her eyes. Hundreds of people have to eat every day. Do you know how expensive things are now? Have you bought daily necessities? Even with a food budget of 10 yuan per person per day, it would still cost more than 1,000 yuan. In addition to buying study materials, injections, and medicine for the sick children, clothes, bedsheets, cups, and other daily necessities, as well as utilities, broadband, gas, and cable TV. How could he not have at least 50,000 yuan per month? I'm a girl. Where can I earn 50,000 yuan? If I sell it, I might not be able to earn that much in the future. You really don't know how hard it is for others if you're not in charge. Lin Yi didn't think that his words would cause Xiaoka to complain like this. But thinking about it, she must have kept these words in her heart for a long time. It was just that she usually didn't have anyone to talk to. Now that she finally had someone to talk to, she poured out everything she knew. But speaking of which, Xiaoka did have a hard time. Earning 50,000 yuan a month, there really wasn't any profession that could have such a high income. Xiaoka didn't have any skills. It was no wonder that she could only come out to steal. Doesn't anyone else donate to the orphanage? Lin Yi asked. There is, but what can we do with 3,000 and 5,000? Xiaoka shook her head and sighed. Lin Yi felt a little emotional. If what Xiaoka said was true, then Lin Yi really admired this girl. She supported an orphanage all by herself. No matter what she did to earn money, she was a great person. By the way, you mentioned something about the iron armor art before. Does it really exist? Can you teach it to me? Xiaoka thought about how Lin Yi dealt with the 4 men and felt a little envious. Chapter 780. Pulling the cushion. Lin Yi had gotten addicted to studying the energy in his body these past few days. These men's hands were naturally caused by the energy explosion that destroyed their bones and meridians. It had nothing to do with where they hit. Lin Yi used the art of dragon mastery to compress the energy in his body the moment they hit him, and then injected it into the men's fists. The effect was obvious, and the men's fists were instantly destroyed. Of course, Lin Yi was just experimenting and only compressed a small amount of energy. Otherwise, not just a fist, but an entire arm or even their entire body could explode. These people were all normal people who had never trained before and had no way of resisting the damage from the instantaneous release of energy. Oh, then can you teach me? Xiaoka was very envious. If she had Lin Yi's skill, she wouldn't have to live in fear every day. No. Lin Yi shook his head. TSK so stingy. Xiaoka pouted like a child. You know Qinggong, so you should have heard of golden class masters. Lin Yi looked at Xiaoka and asked, Of course, my master was a golden class master when he was young, but he was injured by an enemy. Xiaoka suddenly realized that she had said too much, and that she had said too much. How could she tell these secrets to someone she had just met? What if he was her master's enemy? She quickly shut her mouth and looked at Lin Yi cautiously. Then you can learn when you become a golden class master. You might be able to learn it then. Lin Yi smiled. Lin Yi naturally didn't pay much attention to Xiaoka's background, and Xiaoka thought too much. No way. You're a golden class master? Xiaoka paused and looked at Lin Yi in surprise. No. Lin Yi shook his head. TSK, I knew it. Xiaoka was a little disappointed. How can you meet a golden class master so easily? Hey, when is that senior sister sect leader of yours coming? Our leader brother, Giant Deer, has arrived. Blackbird was full of confidence now, with Giant Deer supporting him. He wasn't afraid of Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoka at all. Soon. Lin Yi said carefully, Why are there so many of you? Are you all here? Nonsense. If your flying sparrow gate wants to fight to the death, of course. We will give you face and bring everyone here. Blackbird laughed. Are you afraid? Of course not. Lin Yi suddenly smiled. Our people are here. He's here? Where is it? Brother Giant Deer was stunned, and then his face suddenly became a little ugly. Suddenly, ear-piercing sirens sounded from both ends of the alley at the same time. Countless police officers surrounded the alley from both sides at the same time. People inside, listen up. You've been surrounded. Put down your weapons and surrender to lessen your charges. As the police rushed over, a loudspeaker began to shout, F***CK. What's going on? Giant Deer stared at Blackbird and asked, Why are the police here? I don't know. Who knows how the police got the news? Blackbird suddenly stopped and stared at Lin Yi. It's you. You called the police here. Oh, you're not stupid? Lin Yi looked at Blackbird's flustered expression and couldn't help but laugh. But it's too late. It's useless even if you understand. F***CK. Giant Deer bro, this kid called the police. If we get caught, we'll drag him down with us. Blackbird was furious. He didn't expect Lin Yi to play such a trick and call the police here. He originally thought that Lin Yi was really looking for the Flying Sparrow Gate to fight to the death. He didn't expect that it wasn't the case at all. Brothers, go. Hack him to death. Brother Giant Deer ordered his men. However, at this moment, these thieves didn't dare to attack Lin Yi. They were surrounded by the police and couldn't escape. They would be caught by the police sooner or later. If they attacked now, wouldn't it increase their charges? Who would do such a stupid thing? Therefore, after Giant Deer gave his order, his men looked at each other. No one was willing to attack Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoka first. Didn't you hear what I said? Kill them. Giant Deer panicked. Whoever kills them will get a reward of 100,000 yuan each. Giant Deer thought that there would be brave men under a high reward. If he didn't put up some rewards, who would kill them? Therefore, he didn't say 10 or 20,000 yuan. Instead, he put up a reward of 100,000 yuan. Of course, if he put up a reward of 100,000 yuan during normal times, his men would definitely accept the order to kill them. But now they were about to be caught by the police. Giant Deer and Blackbird couldn't escape this fate. Where could they get 100,000 yuan? Therefore, even if he could get the 100,000 yuan, he wouldn't be able to spend it even if he had his life. Hacking someone was much more serious than simple theft. If he went to jail, what was the use of money? Therefore, not to mention 100,000 yuan. Even if Brother Giant Deer offered a sky-high price of 1 million yuan at this time, no one would be stupid enough to kill him. This alley was surrounded by police. No one could escape. Giant Deer obviously knew this. He grabbed a knife from one of his men and prepared to kill Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoka himself. Others were afraid of aggravating the charges. But Giant Deer wasn't. Brother Giant Deer was the leader of the thief group. The stolen goods that had passed through his hands were worth more than 100 million. Moreover, he had killed a few burglars. He knew very well that entering the police station was a dead end. He would definitely not be able to get out. Therefore, he wasn't afraid. Before he died, he wanted to drag someone down with him. Therefore, he held the knife and went to kill Lin Yi. Little bastard, how dare you trick me? Even if I go in today, I won't let you have it easy. Giant Deer was a ruthless character. Otherwise, he wouldn't have killed so many people. He swung the knife at Lin Yi's head. No matter what armor you have, it's useless. No matter how good your martial arts is, you're still afraid of a knife. Have you heard of this? I have. Lin Yi nodded before lifting his leg and kicking. Giant Deer was like a kite with a broken string, flying out in the direction of Lin Yi's kick, smashing through the lackeys behind him. He didn't seem to have any intention of stopping, crashing all the way back until he hit the last lackey in the row behind him. Only then did he land heavily on the ground. Chapter 781. Let's talk quietly. Needless to say, Lin Yi's strength was very precise. If he used more strength, Giant Deer would have hit the police behind him. If he used less strength, he wouldn't have been able to sit on the knife. Lin Yi's kick shocked Giant Deer's lackeys. Blackbird was also shocked. He looked at Lin Yi in shock. Didn't you only cultivate the protective armor technique? Why are you so strong? Blackbird looked at Lin Yi in disbelief and stuttered. If Giant Deer Bro hadn't arrived, wouldn't Lin Yi have kicked him to death with that one? Blackbird knew that Giant Deer used to practice taekwondo and his body was very strong. If Giant Deer could be kicked dozens of meters away by Lin Yi, how could Blackbird withstand it? It seemed that Lin Yi was pretending to be afraid. He wasn't afraid at all. Lin Yi's purpose of doing this was to get all the members of the thief gang to be arrested by the police. Blackbird understood that he was tricked by Lin Yi, and he was tricked by Lin Yi. However, although he was angry, he didn't dare to go against Lin Yi. He was afraid that Lin Yi would kick him too. If that happened, he wouldn't be able to live anymore, especially when he saw Giant Deer sitting on the knife. Blackbird's heart skipped a beat. He wondered if Giant Deer was dead or not. Blackbird knew that the reason why Giant Deer dared to fight against Lin Yi and wanted to drag Lin Yi down with him was because Giant Deer wouldn't be able to come out after being sent to the police station. However, Blackbird wasn't. Although he was the second leader of the thief gang, he wasn't the main culprit. Plus, he didn't kill anyone. He only raped a few women, so he didn't deserve to die. When did I say that I only practiced armor protection? Lin Yi asked back. This. Blackbird froze. He thought about what Lin Yi said and realized that Lin Yi really didn't say that he only practiced armor protection. She'd taken everything for granted, thinking that Lin Yi wasn't afraid of getting beaten up because of the armor arts he practiced. She didn't know that Lin Yi was just as good at hitting people. Blackbird sighed and accepted his fate. However, he sneered at Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoka. When the police come, I'll report your identities. If we go to jail, don't think about getting away with it. With the police here, you won't be able to do anything. Isn't that kick a little too strong? Xiaoka looked at Lin Yi shocked. How's that Giant Deer Bro? Maybe his butt was cut off, or maybe both his balls were cut off. Lin Yi shrugged. Blackbird shivered when he heard that. So cruel. He still had one egg. But this brother Giant Deer didn't even have two? Yu Xiaoka heard Lin Yi's words and giggled. Serves him right. In front of the armed police, the thief gang members did not resist at all. They all surrendered. They were thieves, not gangsters. Most of them only committed theft and would be released after a few years in jail. Why would they resist? Lingshan didn't expect all the thieves to be here. Wasn't Lin Yi too powerful? He tricked all these people into coming here and waiting for her to catch them? Lingshan's heart was filled with pride and excitement as she looked at the police cars she'd brought, filled with the members of the thief organization. Throughout the history of the Songshan Police Department, no one had ever caught so many thieves at one time. It was like picking up the whole nest. Just when Lingshan was lost in her thoughts, a figure flew in front of her. Ouch! He screamed in pain and fainted with his butt covered in blood. Captain Song, isn't that the leader of the thief organization, the wanted criminal named Giant Deer? Lu Wangli immediately recognized the person who flew over. It was Giant Deer, the wanted criminal of the police department. However, he hid very well and the police couldn't find him. Is it really Giant Deer? Lingshan had heard from Lin Yi that the boss of the thief organization would be coming as well, but it was a different feeling now that she'd actually caught him. Yes. Lu Wangli really admired his superior. Her efficiency in solving cases was unparalleled. Even Yang Huaijuan couldn't solve cases this fast when he was the captain. Lingshan could solve a case as soon as there was one. From Lu Wangli's point of view, this thief organization case was going to be a headache. It was easy to catch one or two thieves, but to completely destroy the entire organization, that was a different story. This wasn't something that could be done in a day or two. But it only took a day, and Ling Shan actually brought the entire criminal police team to arrest them. The entire organization seemed to be waiting to be caught, from the leader to the normal members. Everyone had a part in it. Not a single one of them could escape. "You stay here. I'll go over there for a bit," Ling Shan said as she looked through the gap in the deer's path. As Lin Yi's silly girl, Ling Shan had to thank Lin Yi as soon as possible after receiving benefits from Lin Yi. Ling Shan knew very well that no matter how much Lin Yi spoiled her, there was a limit. If she really made Lin Yi unhappy, then there would be nothing left. Lu Wangli saw the direction Ling Shan was heading to, and he also saw Lin Yi. He couldn't help but be stunned. Lin Yi, what was he doing here? Suddenly, Lu Wangli remembered the first time they solved the bank robbery case. Lin Yi was also there with Ling Shan, and he seemed to have guessed something. Could it be that Lin Yi was involved in this? It was possible. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi appear here out of coincidence? And why was Ling Shan in such a hurry to see Lin Yi? But, thinking about the rumors, Lin Yi was Ling Shan's rumored boyfriend. So, even if Lin Yi was involved, Lu Wangli didn't think there was anything wrong with it. So what if he helped his girlfriend solve the case? It was the law of the land, and it was Ling Shan's family who did it. No one could take it away from him. With that thought, Lu Wangli felt relieved. He didn't need to care about these things anymore. He just needed to follow Ling Shan's footsteps. It didn't matter if Ling Shan was strong or if Lin Yi was strong. It didn't matter. Ling Shan had done a good job, and he would get benefits as her follower. If he followed Ling Shan closely, his future would be bright. Lin Yi saw Ling Shan walking towards him and smiled. "You're not slow, are you?" Chapter 782. I want to make a report. Ah. It's nothing. Lin Yi shook his head. I want to make a report. Officer, I want to make a report. Black Bird suddenly shouted at this moment. Report? What do you want to report? Ling Shan wasn't happy that she was interrupted. She immediately recognized Black Bird as the second in command of the thief group. Ling Shan frowned. Don't play any tricks. Spit it out if you have something to say. Officer, I want to report them. They are thieves as well. They are from the famous Fian sect. Black Bird knew that he wouldn't be able to come out for a while, so he wanted to drag someone down with him. The people he wanted to drag down were Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoka. From his point of view, Lin Yi and Yu Xiaoka were informants. Ling Shan didn't treat them as thieves, so Black Bird wanted to expose them. Fian sect? Ling Shan froze. She turned to look at Lin Yi and realized that Yu Xiaoka was hiding behind Lin Yi. Ling Shan was focused on Lin Yi and didn't notice Yu Xiaoka beside Lin Yi. However, with Black Bird's reminder, she immediately realized that this was the female cat burglar she hadn't been able to catch. Xiaoka knew that something was wrong when she saw Ling Shan walking over. She wanted to run, but there were thieves all around her, and behind them there were layers of police officers surrounding her. How could she run? So, Yu Xiaoka hid behind Lin Yi and prayed that Ling Shan wouldn't notice her. In fact, Ling Shan really didn't notice her and thought that she was a member of the thief group. She only talked to Lin Yi for a while. Xiaoka was feeling lucky, but who would have thought that Blackbird Bro would report her to Ling Shan? For a moment, Yu Xiaoka was furious. She really wanted to kick Blackbird's remaining balls. This guy was too despicable. Yes, it's Yu Xiaoka from the Fian sect, that woman. Blackbird saw Ling Shan's stunned expression and thought that she didn't know who Yu Xiao was. He quickly continued, the Fian sect is one of the most famous thief organizations, and this woman is one of the most active thieves in the sect. Not only does she steal money from others, but she also takes advantage of others. Just the money she stole from our organization is more than 100,000. The man next to her was her husband and also one of the core members of Fian Gate. Officer, don't be fooled by them. Blackbird spilled out Yu Xiaoka's crimes in one breath. He hated Yu Xiaoka to the core. He came here to take revenge on Yu Xiaoka. But not only did he fail, he was caught by the police. How could he accept this? So before he was caught, he had to do everything he could to take revenge on Yu Xiaoka. Ling Shan couldn't help but frown at Xiaoka's words. Since when did Lin Yi join Fian sect? He's Xiaoka's man now. Ling Shan wasn't happy at the thought. Yu Xiaoka was quite lucky, wasn't she? She actually had a boyfriend like Lin Yi. Why were all these women so lucky? She worked so hard, and only Lin Yi didn't call her Miss Braindead, but Yu Xiaoka probably didn't know Lin Yi for long, and she could already make Lin Yi do things for her. Ling Shan felt that it was unfair and glared at Yu Xiaoka. Yu Xiaoka, you didn't think that you wouldn't run away in the end, did you? You still fell into my hands in the end? Ugh. Ling Shan sis, I'm the informant now. Without me, you wouldn't have been able to catch so many thief organization members, right? Yu Xiaoka said as she looked around for a possible escape route. Yu Xiaoka saw that Lin Yi knew Ling Shan, so she couldn't rely on Lin Yi anymore. She could only put her hope on herself and see if she could find a chance to escape. Informant? But this black bird informant too? He's informant too? Ling Shan wasn't moved at all. Yu Xiaoka was a criminal, and she had the responsibility to bring her to justice. Yu Xiaoka had been registered in the police station for a long time. Many rich and powerful people had come to report cases, and Yu Xiaoka had been robbed or even beaten up. Ling Shan placed a lot of importance on these cases, and had set up a few operations to capture Yu Xiaoka. Who would have thought that Yu Xiaoka's qigong was so good, and she managed to escape a few times. Even though he was a golden class master, he couldn't catch up to Xiaoka's qigong. Her qigong seemed to be a unique skill, and although he didn't see how strong she was able to run faster than anyone else. Yu Xiaoka's name was much bigger than the thief organization. There was no other reason than that Yu Xiaoka specialized in stealing from the rich and heartless, and these people were usually rich and powerful. When something happened, they would naturally report it to the police, and as time went by, Yu Xiaoka became the focus of the police. When these rich people reported to the police, they naturally wouldn't say what they had done before, and they would only blame Yu Xiaoka. Ling Shan didn't know Yu Xiaoka's motive, and so she treated Yu Xiaoka as a thief who specialized in stealing from the rich. All right, Ling Shan sis, I admit defeat this time, I'll go with you. Yu Xiaoka lowered her head and walked towards Ling Shan slowly, as if she was surrendering. But before she could finish, Yu Xiaoka's footsteps changed, and she quickly went around Ling Shan, running behind Ling Shan. Yu Xiaoka had already observed the terrain, and behind Ling Shan was a path that Lin Yi had opened with giant deer bro's body. As long as Yu Xiaoka followed this path, she might be able to escape. After all, the police were busy stuffing the thieves into the cars, and not many would notice Yu Xiaoka. By the time they did, it would be too late. Where do you think you're going? Ling Shan laughed coldly, slapping Yu Xiaoka's back. Ling Shan had interacted with Yu Xiaoka many times, and of course, she knew what kind of person Yu Xiaoka was. Ling Shan didn't believe that Yu Xiaoka would admit defeat. Yu Xiaoka was a smart girl, and as long as there was a chance, she would run like crazy. Why would she admit defeat? Chapter 783. How unlucky! Of course, Ling Shan only wanted to capture Yu Xiaoka, not kill her. Otherwise, with Ling Shan's strength as a golden class master, Yu Xiaoka would probably be reborn or transmigrated to another world. Ah! Yu Xiaoka screamed in pain as she flew backwards and fell on the ground. She spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. Lin Yi didn't think that Ling Shan would suddenly attack and frowned. Why did you hit her? If I didn't hit her, would I have been able to capture her? Ling Shan didn't feel comfortable hearing Lin Yi speak up for Yu Xiaoka. I told you to capture those thieves, not her. Lin Yi had a good impression of Yu Xiaoka, although they hadn't known each other for a long time. If Yu Xiaoka wasn't lying, then she was worthy of Lin Yi's respect. She was able to support an orphanage all by herself. How much courage and perseverance did she need to be able to do that? She's a thief too. Ling Shan looked at Lin Yi stubbornly. She had her own principles. Although she always acted like a yes man in front of Lin Yi, she couldn't let that destroy her principles and perseverance. Lin Yi was surprised by Ling Shan's expression. Ling Shan had always been docile in front of him, but now she had a disagreement with him. However, Lin Yi thought about it and understood Ling Shan's position. She was a soldier, and Yu Xiaoka was a thief. It was natural for soldiers to catch thieves. However, Ling Shan and Yu Xiaoka were in different positions. Yu Xiaoka felt that it was okay for her to steal money for the orphanage, but Ling Shan felt that no matter what, Yu Xiaoka was a thief. Lin Yi nodded and didn't make things difficult for Ling Shan anymore. Blackbird, on the other hand, was extremely pleased. Xiaoka was beaten up by Ling Shan, and he was finally able to vent the anger he had been suppressing for a long time. Xiaoka, did you want to send us to jail? Then I'll send you in first. What about now? Not only will you be beaten up, but you will also be arrested. Lin, he wanted to check on you, Xiaoka's injuries. When he passed by Blackbird, Lin Yi accidentally bumped into him. Blackbird was too happy to notice. However, after Lin Yi passed by, Blackbird felt that something was wrong. Why did he suddenly feel hot all over? A surge of desire rose from the bottom of his heart, and Blackbird's eyes became blurry. He looked at Ling Shan with a ferocious expression. From the looks of it, he was trying his best to control his emotions, but it was only for a split second before he went berserk, pouncing on Ling Shan. "Little girl, give it to me. I want you to play with me once." Ling Shan looked at Blackbird, who had yellow teeth and smelly breath, and felt disgusted. She didn't understand. Wasn't Brother Blackbird too daring? How dare he take liberties with her in public? Did he want to die? Ling Shan was puzzled when Blackbird's hand reached for her chest. Ling Shan was enraged and kicked Blackbird's crotch. Blackbird screamed in pain and fell to the ground. The last thing he said before he fainted was, "My other balls." This was naturally Lin Yi's doing. Lin Yi only stimulated a few acupoints on his body, making him have the urge to sleep with someone else. In fact, this method could also be used on impotence and lack of desire. However, Blackbird had a strong desire to begin with, and after Lin Yi's teasing, he lost his mind. The members of the thief organization also felt strange. Did Blackbird lose his mind? How dare he take liberties with Ling Shan? Wasn't he looking for death? However, they couldn't even protect themselves, so they didn't have the time to care about Blackbird's madness. All of them lowered their heads and didn't dare to breathe loudly. They were afraid that they would be Ling Shan's next target. However, Ling Shan didn't want to argue with them and went to look for an ambulance. Lu Wangli had already called an ambulance for Giant Deer Bro. Now, Yu Xiaoka and Blackbird were in the ambulance. Lin Yi naturally didn't care about Blackbird's life and walked towards Yu Xiaoka. Squatting down, Lin Yi wanted to check on Yu Xiaoka's injuries. However, Yu Xiaoka suddenly opened her eyes and gave Lin Yi a look. Lin Yi was surprised. "You didn't faint." "I'm all right. I can barely hold on." Yu Xiaoka forced a smile. "Thank you for taking revenge for me." Yu Xiaoka must have guessed that Lin Yi did something to Blackbird. Otherwise, Blackbird wouldn't dare to take liberties with a female officer at this time. Did he think his life wasn't long enough? It's nothing." Lin Yi didn't know why, but he felt pity for the pitiful Yu Xiaoka. Lin Yi was a cold person by nature, and he maintained a high level of indifference towards his enemies and strangers. He only treated his friends with sincerity. As for Xiaoka, he had only met her for the second time, and he was deeply moved by her experience. Lin Yi could be considered as an orphan, and Yu Xiaoka was probably the same. Otherwise, she wouldn't have worked so hard for the orphanage. The two of them had some similarities. Song Ling Shan is here. I'm going to faint. Don't expose me. Yu Xiaoka blinked her eyes, and suddenly her head tilted and she fainted on the ground again. Since you Xiaoka said so, Lin Yi couldn't help her anymore. At this time, Song Lingshan directed the paramedics to carry the stretcher over. Lin Yi stood up and moved to the side. Song Lingshan helped the paramedics carry Yu, Xiaoka, and Blackbird onto the stretcher and walked towards the ambulance. The thief organization members were mostly caught. Even if they weren't caught, they didn't dare to move. There were armed police in front and behind them. They couldn't run even if they wanted to. They might as well wait for the police to deal with them. You ran with them? Song Lingshan saw that Lin Yi followed and asked softly. Lin Yi looked at Song Lingshan and didn't explain. It was complicated to explain. He had to start from the beggar. Lin Yi was too lazy to explain in detail. Song Lingshan felt wronged and worried. Was Lin Yi blaming her for being a busybody? Shouldn't she ask so much? Chapter 784. Chapter 784. Xiaoka sis, but Lingshan just couldn't understand. What was so good about Xiaoka? She was just a female cat burglar, and Lin Yi was taking care of her? The moment Xiaoka's stretcher was about to enter the ambulance, Xiaoka jumped off and waved at Lingshan. Lingshan sis, bye-bye, I'm leaving. The ambulance was outside the police cordon, and so there weren't many police officers around. Even if there were, they were only there to assist the paramedics. They didn't think that these heavily injured people would be able to get up and run. Xiaoka, stop right there. Lingshan was pissed off. This Xiaoka was too cunning. She pretended to faint and waited for her to let her guard down before escaping from the stretcher. It was too late for her to catch her now. Xiaoka may be injured, but her qigong wasn't just for show. Lingshan was regretting that she didn't hit Xiaoka too hard, giving her an opportunity to take advantage of. In fact, Lingshan misunderstood. Xiaoka's injuries were very heavy, and a golden class master's attack wasn't something a normal person could take, even if she didn't use her full strength. The reason why Xiaoka was able to get up and run away despite her injuries was because of the conviction in her heart that she couldn't be caught by Lingshan. If she was caught, it wouldn't matter if she went to jail. But what would happen to the children in the orphanage? Lingshan's eyes lit up. So even if Xiaoka had to die, she had to grit her teeth and run back. She had to take care of all the kids in the orphanage. Her responsibility was too heavy, and she couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Lingshan sis, we'll meet again. Xiaoka's face was in pain, but her voice was happy. She'd finally escaped Lingshan's pursuit once more. You Xiaoka, remember this. See if I don't kill you next time. Lingshan glared at Xiaoka hatefully. She was pissed off. Xiaoka didn't argue with Lingshan. She knew her own situation, and she was heavily injured. She was gritting her teeth and running back to the orphanage. Lin Yi thought of something and said to Lingshan, I'll go take a look. You can catch her. Lingshan was overjoyed after hearing Lin Yi's words. She thought that Lin Yi was going to help her catch Xiaoka. No, she's not in a good condition. I'm afraid that you'll kill her, Lin Yi said as he followed. Lingshan stomped her feet angrily. It seemed like Lin Yi could have caught Xiaoka, but he didn't, going to check on Xiaoka's injuries instead. But she couldn't interfere with Lin Yi's business. She was angry, but she didn't dare to object to Lin Yi. Lin Yi followed Xiaoka secretly and saw her running towards the slums. Lin Yi had to admit that Xiaoka was very fast. If he wasn't mystic and good at speed, Lin Yi might not be able to catch up to Xiaoka. Xiaoka was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, she had passed through the slums and arrived in front of a dilapidated courtyard. She pushed the door open and entered the courtyard. Perhaps it was because she had used up the last bit of energy in her body, but the moment she entered the courtyard, she fell to the ground and couldn't get up again. Lin Yi admired Xiaoka's endurance. It was so far away, and she used her last bit of energy to run here. It was very rare. This was a very dilapidated courtyard. At the gate of the courtyard, there was a wooden sign with black characters on a white background. However, because of the age, it was already mottled. There were only a few vague words on it. If you looked closely, you could see that it said Shantytown Private Orphanage. So it was an orphanage? After seeing the sign, Lin Yi's suspicions towards Xiaoka disappeared. He was 100% sure that what Xiaoka said was true, but the orphanage was so dilapidated that it made Lin Yi a little moved. Lin Yi walked over quickly and came to Xiaoka's side. He bent down and reached out his hand to check on Xiaoka's injuries. Who are you? Let go of Xiaoka, sis. Bad guy. Stay away from Xiaoka, sis. Suddenly, a group of kids ran out from the only red brick house in the courtyard and surrounded Lin Yi. They didn't want Lin Yi to get close to Xiaoka. Xiaoka, sis, what's wrong? Woo-woo. Xiaoka, sis, why are you vomiting blood? A little girl cried when she saw the blood at the corner of Xiaoka's mouth. The other boys, on the other hand, glared at Lin Yi. Who are you? Why did you hurt Xiaoka, sis? Lin Yi didn't think that his kind action would be misunderstood by these kids, but he didn't mind it. After all, these kids didn't know anything. Seeing Xiaoka lying here, they naturally thought that he was the bad guy who hurt Xiaoka. However, there was one thing that Lin Yi could see. These kids had a deep relationship with Xiaoka, so what Xiaoka said before was true. She stole the money for these kids, for this orphanage. What are you doing? Go back now. An authoritative voice sounded. Lin Yi looked up and saw an old woman in her 50s walking out from the red brick house. She quickly walked to Lin Yi and looked at Xiaoka on the ground, then at Lin Yi. She had a complicated expression on her face. Principal, this person is a bad guy. He hurt Xiaoka, sis. Xiaoka, sis, is vomiting blood. Should we call the police and arrest him? Stop arguing. Go back now. The old woman, called Principal, shouted at the kids. There's nothing for you to do here. Go back and read your books. But Principal, Xiaoka, sis, is vomiting blood. Woo! The younger girl cried and didn't want to leave. What? My words don't work, do they? All of you go back. The old woman yelled at the girl and pulled her over to prevent her from getting close to Lin Yi. She then turned to one of the older boys. Ken, take your brother and sister back. Chapter 785. She'll die if you don't save her, but it was obvious that the kids were worried about Xiaoka's situation. How could they relax after seeing Xiaoka vomit blood? After the kids left, the old woman looked at Lin Yi. Xiaoka stole your money, right? But you're really too vicious. You actually chased her all the way here. She stole your money. I can compensate you. I hope you can let Xiaoka go. She's a good child. I believe you've seen it too. She stole all the money for the sake of this orphanage. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm useless, I wouldn't have let this child out. The old woman didn't want the kids to know that their beloved Xiaoka sis went out to earn money for them every day, but in reality she was stealing. Only she knew about this, and no one else knew about it. This was also why the old woman told the kids to go in. It was best to hide this from the kids as much as possible. It was best not to let the kids know about this beforehand, or else it wouldn't be good for their growth. Lin Yi paused after hearing the old woman's words, and understood that she misunderstood. She thought he was the one who threw the things, and he was the one who caused Xiaoka's injuries. That was why he came here. The old woman knew Xiaoka's skills. She wasn't very strong, but someone who could injure her wasn't weak either. Lin Yi was obviously skilled in martial arts if he could injure Xiaoka. The old woman couldn't see through Lin Yi's strength, but she was still cautious. So, the old lady said a few words for Xiaoka, hoping that Lin Yi could understand. You misunderstood. She didn't steal my money. Lin Yi shook his head. You didn't steal? The old woman paused and looked at Lin Yi, surprised. If she didn't steal, then why did you do this? The old woman's tone became serious, and her face showed a vigilant expression. Her aura rose in an instant. Golden class. Lin Yi was slightly taken aback, but he shook his head. Your strength isn't at the golden class, but your aura is there. How strange. The old woman raised her aura, and Lin Yi instantly sensed that she was at the early phase of the golden class. However, Lin Yi soon felt that something was wrong. Although her aura was at the golden class, the true qi on the old woman's body was not strong. At this moment, it was already very good to have half of the strength of the golden class. It seemed that half of her true qi was sealed by something. You know about the golden class? The old woman's expression suddenly changed. She stared at Lin Yi. She didn't expect Lin Yi to see through her strength at a glance. Was Lin Yi also an expert? I didn't injure Xiaoke. She was injured by Ling Shan. Lin Yi didn't answer the old woman's question and explained Xiaoke's injury instead. Ling Shan? Ling Shan from the city's criminal police team? The old woman had obviously heard of Ling Shan's name. Yes, move aside. Xiaoke's injury is very serious, and she might die if we don't save her. Lin Yi ignored the old woman and squatted down, holding Xiaoke's hand. The old woman had already decided to fight with Lin Yi, but Lin Yi didn't seem to want to fight at all. He squatted down and exposed his body's weakness to the old woman, and she didn't know what to do. Should she attack or not? The old woman felt that attacking Lin Yi from this angle would give her an absolute advantage. At the very least, she would be able to gain the upper hand. But Lin Yi said that he didn't injure Xiaoke and that he was here to save her. The old woman didn't believe Lin Yi's words, but seeing that he was holding Xiaoke's hand, it didn't seem like he wanted to hurt her. Her heart relaxed a little, but she still looked at Lin Yi cautiously, afraid that Lin Yi would hurt Xiaoke. Lin Yi checked Xiaoke's injuries. Ling Shan's palm had only shifted Xiaoke's organs, and she'd be able to recover after some rest. But Xiaoke had used her last breath to run back to the orphanage, aggravating her injuries. She'd already sustained internal injuries, and if she didn't get treated soon, there'd be repercussions even if she did recover. Find me a quiet room. Don't let anyone disturb me. Lin Yi carried Xiaoke and ordered the old woman. You really want to save Xiaoke? The old woman naturally didn't believe Lin Yi. After all, they only met once, and she didn't know the relationship between Lin Yi and Xiaoke. She was a little hesitant. If you can heal her, I'll let you do it, Lin Yi said faintly. How could the old woman know how to heal people? If it weren't for Lin Yi, her first reaction would be to send Xiaoke to the hospital. Perhaps Lin Yi touching Xiaoke triggered her injury, but just when the old woman was hesitating whether or not to believe Lin Yi, Xiaoke woke up. She opened her eyes with difficulty and saw that she was in Lin Yi's arms. She paused and said, "You're a good friend. Are you going to send me to the hospital? Did Song Ling Shan chase after me? Xiaoke, how are you?" The old woman didn't expect Xiaoke to wake up so suddenly and asked in surprise, "Master." Xiaoke saw the old woman, too, and forced a smile. "I'm okay. I got hit by Ling Shan." With that, Xiaoke fainted again. She felt that Lin Yi wouldn't leave her to die, and with the dean beside her, she didn't have to hold on anymore. The old woman heard Xiaoke's words and saw that Xiaoke didn't have any hostility towards Lin Yi. She finally calmed down and brought Lin Yi to an empty room. "This is Xiaoke's room, separate from the kids. No one will disturb you here. But can you really save Xiaoke?" Lin Yi frowned. Since this old woman was Xiaoke's master, and she really did care about Xiaoke, Lin Yi didn't show too much impatience. "I can save her, leave," Lin Yi said faintly. The old woman was in a difficult position. She didn't trust Lin Yi 100%, and she didn't dare to leave casually. She was afraid that Lin Yi would do something to hurt Xiaoke. After all, Xiaoke was very pretty. What if Lin Yi had bad intentions and did whatever he wanted when Xiaoke couldn't move? If Lin Yi knew what the old woman was thinking, he would only smile bitterly. Chapter 786. Xiaoke's Boyfriend. Lin Yi had been having a lot of fun using his energy to save people these days, It seemed that his energy would work on anything other than organic diseases, like Jinhu's heart disease. It was especially effective on external injuries, after all. Lin Yi silently activated the art of dragon mastery, and the energy in his body flowed into Xiaoka's body. However, Xiaoka's injuries weren't that serious, so she didn't need a lot of energy. Lin Yi didn't feel tired at all, and not long after, Xiaoka's face regained some color. The old woman's eyes widened in shock. Lin Yi only held Xiaoka's hand and didn't do anything else, and Xiaoka's condition was getting better and better? How was that possible? This didn't make sense. Suddenly, the old woman thought of a shocking possibility. When she was young, she had also suffered a serious injury. Not only was her martial arts crippled, she was also on the verge of death. The old woman's master, in order to let her live, had passed on all her martial arts to the old woman through the method of transferring her martial arts. After that, her master was like an oil lamp that had run out of oil, walking towards the end of her life. The old woman was very grateful to her master, and it was because of this that she understood the unthinkable of passing on energy. Could it be that Lin Yi was passing on energy to Xiaoka right now? Just what was the relationship between Lin Yi and Xiaoka for Lin Yi to do something like this? How could a normal friendship do something like this? If it were the old woman herself, she would sacrifice herself without hesitation if Xiaoka couldn't be healed. But that was only because she was Xiaoka's master and they had a deep relationship. But why would Lin Yi do something like this? Could it be that Lin Yi was Xiaoka's boyfriend? The old woman suddenly thought of this possibility and started suspecting it. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi sacrifice himself to save Xiaoka? Was he stupid? With that thought, the old woman was even more sure of her guesses. Xiaoka was 18 this year, and it was the age to fall in love. She had neglected this and treated her as a kid. But Xiaoka wasn't a kid anymore. Xiaoka, on the other hand, was under too much pressure every day. She had to take care of an orphanage all by herself, and it was too tiring. Emotional comfort could relieve some of her pressure. Of course, she had strict requirements for Xiaoka's boyfriend, but now that she saw Lin Yi using pure qi to save Xiaoka, she dispelled her doubts about Lin Yi's character. If he didn't treat Xiaoka well, who would do this? Who? Lin Yi let out a long breath and let go of Xiaoka's hand. Xiaoka needed far less qi than Xiao, Mengyao, and General Weiwu. So although Lin Yi lost some qi, it was nothing to Lin Yi. All right, she'll wake up in a bit. Lin Yi breathed out in relief. He had his own standards, and although he could help Ling Shan solve the case, he could also stop her from catching Xiaoka. I'm leaving. What? You're leaving just like that? The old woman was really confused now. Of course, what confused her was that Lin Yi's face didn't even blush when he used his pure energy to save Xiaoka. This surprised her a lot. There were only two possibilities. One was that Lin Yi's strength was far beyond her imagination, and the other was that Lin Yi wasn't using pure qi? What was it then? The second thing that confused her was that Lin Yi spent so much effort to save Xiaoka. Normally, he would be waiting for Xiaoka to wake up, and she'd be so touched that she'd be in a mess. This was something that young couples should do under normal circumstances, right? But Lin Yi didn't seem to care at all. I still have things to do. I'll be leaving first. Lin Yi nodded. Right? If Ling Shan doesn't let her go, tell her to call me. This is my number. With that, Lin Yi wrote his number on the calendar next to Xiaoka's bed. Wait, may I ask, did you use pure qi to treat you, Xiaoka? The old woman asked the question she had in her mind. You could say that, Lin Yi nodded. Can Xiaoka use your pure qi? The old woman wasn't very strong, but she knew that if it wasn't from the same school, the similarity between qi was close to zero, and it couldn't be used interchangeably. Forcefully injecting it into someone else's body wouldn't benefit them at all. Yes, Lin Yi said. All right, I'll be leaving first. With that, he turned around and left Xiaoka's room, ignoring the old woman. Lin Yi wasn't very familiar with Xiaoka, much less the old woman. So, in terms of helping Xiaoka, Lin Yi did this much was already very good. She stole so much money, but she didn't know how to enjoy it. She was wearing the cheapest clothes on the street, and the room was very simple. The window was broken, and the writing desk was broken. There wasn't even a decent closet. The only luxury item was the computer on the writing desk. Lin Yi was helping Xiaoka because he really liked the girl. She had a hard life, but she was optimistic and optimistic. She found joy in her pain every day. She stole so much money, but she didn't know how to enjoy a single cent of it. She wore the cheapest clothes on the street, and the room was very simple. The monitor with the big head was already obsolete, and the case was missing a panel. The keyboard and mouse were also the oldest, but they were wiped clean. Someone probably didn't want them anymore and donated them, right? For a young and beautiful girl, makeup, dressing table, and wardrobe were necessary items, but they weren't in Xiaoka's room. There was a bottle of Debeo SOD honey on the desk, and the only thing left was a box of hand oil that was rarely seen in shells. It was hard for Lin Yi to imagine how this girl lived every day. She had so much money, but she never fell for it. As for the closet, it was a big cardboard box on the ground. There were a few clothes scattered inside, but it was pitiful. Other than underwear, there were only 2 to 3 sets of outer clothes. It was quite pitiful. So, if it was possible, Lin Yi wouldn't hesitate to help Xiaoka. He wasn't just helping Xiaoka herself, but all the children in the orphanage. Chapter 787. Chapter 787. Yu Xiaoka's admirer evidently. Ken had overheard the conversation between Lin Yi and the headmaster. This surprised Lin Yi a little. This kid dared to listen to the headmaster and secretly eavesdrop? It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't take precautions. In fact, there was nothing to hide in the conversation between Lin Yi and the headmaster. And Lin Yi didn't care about anyone eavesdropping. Plus, there were no strangers around the orphanage. So Lin Yi didn't take it to heart. You know about Xiaoka? Lin Yi paused and looked at Ken. Yeah, I know a little, but Xiaoka sis is a good person. Although she steals from those heartless rich bastards. Ken was the oldest in the group, around 15 years old. It was normal for him to know about these things. Can I ask you something? What is it? Lin Yi didn't dislike these orphans, so he didn't mind talking to them. Are you Sister Xiaoka's boyfriend? Ken hesitated for a moment, but still asked shyly. The way the boy asked the question surprised Lin Yi. There seemed to be a hint of jealousy and envy in the boy's tone. His expression betrayed his true intentions, and Lin Yi found it funny. You like Xiaoka? Ken was shocked by Lin Yi's sudden question. His face turned red, and he clenched his fists, breathing heavily. He dodged Lin Yi's gaze, not daring to meet Lin Yi's eyes. After a while, he said, all the sensible boys in the orphanage look up to Cassis, and they all want her to be their wives. Ken's words confirmed Lin Yi's guess. Although he didn't admit it, it was no different from admitting it. Oh. Lin Yi smiled and looked at Ken from head to toe. Judging from his figure alone, it was hard to tell that he was only 15 years old. He was already more than one, 7 meters tall, but his young face betrayed his age. At his age, it was normal for him to have feelings for the opposite sex. Xiaoka was very pretty, and she was the idol of these kids. These kids were like fans, and it was understandable for them to have thoughts about her. You wouldn't use Xiaoka's photo to do something perverted, would you? Lin Yi found Ken interesting and couldn't help but tease him. How is that possible? Ken suddenly became a little anxious. He stared at Lin Yi with a flushed face. Sister Xiaoka is like a goddess in our hearts. How can I blaspheme her? I'm just asking casually. Why are you so excited? Lin Yi laughed. It seemed like Ken wasn't lying. In his heart, he probably admired Xiaoka more than anything else. Actually, we all know that we're not good enough for her. She's so kind, so beautiful, and we all hope that she can find a boyfriend who can protect her and give her happiness, so that she doesn't have to work so hard every day. Xiao Ken suddenly looked up at Lin. And we can't do that. What about you? Me. Lin paused and shook his head. This is the second time I've met her. Ah. You're not Xiaoka's sis boyfriend. Xiao Ken froze as well. Then why did you save her? Kids shouldn't ask about adult matters. Lin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He told Xiao Ken, go back and study. Let's see if the dean will scold you when she comes out. Ah, then I'll go. Xiao Ken was scared at the mention of the dean. He made a face at Lin and ran back to the red brick house. Lin shook his head. Xiao Ken was a little mischievous, but he was still a kid. However, Xiao Ken's words touched Lin. It wasn't a long-term solution for you, Xiaoka, to keep stealing. Could she do something for the orphanage? Lin wasn't the kind of person who liked to help others. But this time he changed his attitude because he felt pity for these kids. In a not-so-luxurious ward in People's First Hospital, Kong Mingming was lying on the bed. He had 4 drip on his face, and he was still cursing. He had just woken up not long ago. He was scared by the old man who was pushing the body downstairs, and he fainted. Zhu Xiaozhan and Wang Shubing had to send him to the ward. After he was hooked up to a drip of glucose and 4 drip, Kong Mingming slowly woke up. Mother asterisk her, what a scam. Pushing a body to scare people. I was almost scared to death. Master Ming, why don't Xiaozhan and I go beat up the old man for you? Wang Shubing asked carefully. F asterisk CK off. It's useless. What's the point of beating him up? If you break him, you'll have to pay for it, idiot. Kong Mingming glared at Wang Shubing and said, Right, where's Guan Xan? Did she come to give me an injection? No, it was an old woman. She's huge, and her breasts are bigger than my butt. Wang Shubing shook his head. Mother asterisk her. Help me find out when Guan Xan will be on duty, and find a way to trade her for me. Kong Mingming said, I can't catch a cold for nothing. Not only will I suffer, but I'll also have to spend money. Who am I supposed to ask? I don't know anyone in this hospital. This place isn't like Donghai. Wang Shubing sighed. Master Ming, you don't know anything here. Fuck, just give me money. Do I need to tell you? Just find someone who knows the inside story, give them some money, and they'll tell you. Kong Mingming said unhappily. For example, the old woman you mentioned before. If you give her some money, I don't believe she won't tell you. That's right. Wang Shubing nodded. Wait a minute, I'll go and see. Before Wang Shubing could finish a sentence, the door of the room was pushed open. The old woman nurse walked in and asked loudly, Is the patient awake? He's awake, he's awake. Auntie, can you come and see? Wang Shubing wanted to get some information from the old woman, so his attitude became very respectful. What did you say? Who are you calling an auntie? I'm not married yet. The old woman nurse glared at him and almost slapped Wang Shubing. I'm sorry, I only saw clearly when I got closer. It's the beautiful nurse. Wang Shubing was shocked and quickly changed his words. My eyesight isn't good. Please forgive me. Chapter 788. Kong Mingming harms himself. I think I should stay for 2 more days. Wang Shubing whispered. Sister nurse, can I talk to you in private? Talk in private? If you have something to say, say it here. If you have something to say it quickly, I'm busy. The nurse didn't have a good impression of this Wang Shubing. He called her auntie before. What kind of look was that? Wang Shubing quickly reached into his pocket and took out a few hundred yuan. He didn't know where he lost his wallet earlier, so he didn't have much money left. He roughly looked at it and saw that there was only around 400 yuan. Part of it was just spare change, but that was all he had. He couldn't make it to the bank in time. He could only bite the bullet and say, Sister Nurse, can you fulfill a request of mine? What do you mean? Have you been watching too many Japanese porn? I'm a decent person. Don't think about those kinds of things. The nurse looked at Wang Shubbing with disdain. Also, you want me to give up my dignity for such a small amount of money? Are you dreaming? Huh. Wang Shubbing was stunned. He knew that the nurse misunderstood him. This kind of trash. Why wouldn't he do it for 400 yuan? Wang Shubbing wouldn't want it even if it was free. But now that he had a favor to ask, he could only lower his voice and say, I'm sorry, Sister Nurse, you misunderstood me. I don't have those kinds of thoughts. I just want to ask you something. Ask you something? What is it? The nurse knew that Wang Shubbing didn't mean it that way, and her face softened a little. 400 yuan for some information was worth it, but it depended on what he wanted to know. If it was something unimportant, it was fine to tell him. But if he wanted to pry into the hospital's secrets, then there was no way. She could only say goodbye to the 400 yuan. It's like this, my boss is this Master Xiaoming. Wang Shubbing pointed at Kong Xiaoming on the bed and continued. He wants to chase after a nurse in your hospital, so he wants to get some information. Oh, why didn't you say so earlier? The nurse snatched the money from Wang Shubbing's hand and put it in her pocket. Ask away. I will tell you everything I know. The nurses could still talk about this kind of thing. Moreover, this was not considered as receiving a red packet. This was the income from their labor outside the scope of their work, so they could feel at ease accepting it. That nurse's name is Guan Xan. Is she also a nurse in your surgery department? Wang Shubbing quickly asked. Guan Xan, I know, the flower of our surgery department. What do you want to know? The nurses didn't know Guan Xan's background, so they didn't care what they said behind her back. Nurse Sis, my boss came to the hospital because of Guan Xan, but I don't know what kind of illness Guan Xan is responsible for, so I can't get in touch with her even if I wanted to. Wang Shubbing said awkwardly, Beautiful nurse, can you point me in the right direction? Oh, that's easy. Guan Xan is in charge of the external wounds. She's not in charge of injections. If you want to see her, you have to have external wounds. Otherwise, you won't be able to see her even if you catch a cold and die here. The old nurse said. If that's the case, then it looks like we went in the wrong direction. Wang Shubbing looked at Kong Ming sympathetically. It looked like he suffered this cold for nothing. He couldn't even see Guan Xan's shadow. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm leaving. You guys figure it out yourself. After the nurse finished speaking, she turned around and walked away. With just a few words, she earned more than 400 yuan. It was really worth it. Motherf asterisk cur. Kong Ming was furious. He angrily slapped the bed. If I knew this was going to happen, I would have investigated it first. At least I wouldn't have to suffer like this. Yeah, Master Ming. But right now, we can only treat the cold first. Zhu Xiaozhang sighed as he replied, Treat what? Didn't that old woman just say it? I'm almost fully recovered. Hurry up and think of a way to get close to Guan Xan. Kong Ming was anxious. He remembered seeing Guan Xan and that bitch Xiaofan together. He felt a little uneasy. He didn't know what their relationship was. Did Xiaofan tell her about him? But Kong Ming thought that she probably wouldn't say anything yet. This was a little embarrassing for Xiaofan. She wouldn't expose herself, would she? But that girl seemed to be a little crazy, right? If she said it out, then it would be hard to say. So Kong Ming wanted to get Guan Xan as soon as possible. As long as he could get Guan Xan pregnant, then everything would be fine. Even if Guan Xan found out, it was already too late. It didn't matter anymore. Master Ming, it's still the same trick. As long as you suffer a little more, it'll be fine. Wang Shubbing hesitated and said, Oh, you mean? Kong Ming's eyes lit up. Master Ming, why don't you just cut your hand and get Guan Xan to bandage it? Wang Shubbing nodded and suggested. You're right. Come on now. Kong Ming extended his hand. Do it! This. Wang Shubbing didn't dare to do it. It was fine for him to cut someone else's hand, but he didn't dare to cut Kong Ming Ming. Who knew how deep it was? What if it hurt? What is this? Hurry up! Kong Ming Ming was a little anxious. He came to Songshan with a heavy responsibility. This was also his first time carrying out a mission given to him by his family. So Kong Ming Ming didn't want to fail. He knew that he was a spoiled brat, so this was the only thing he could do. If he couldn't do this well, then he wouldn't have any status in the family. Xiaozhang, you do it! Wang Shubbing still didn't dare to do it. Zhu Xiaozhang was braver than Wang Shubbing. He was called arrogant bro, but he was arrogant to others. He wasn't arrogant to Kong Ming Ming. Hurry up! What are you thinking about? Kong Ming Ming was a little anxious. Over there, there's still a needle on the drip I just used, right? Cut me with it. Okay, Master Ming, bear with it for a bit. Zhu Xiaozhang nodded and picked up the used drip needle on the table. He steeled his heart and made a small cut on Kong Ming Ming's arm. Hiss! Kong Ming Ming took a deep breath. It was really painful, but he was the one who asked Zhu Xiaozhang to do it. He couldn't blame Zhu Xiaozhang, could he? Is that enough? Zhu Xiaozhang didn't dare to continue after making a small cut. That's what I mean, right? Kong Ming Ming was also in pain. Let's go. Let's get Guan Xan to bandage it. Kong Ming Ming didn't care about the drip anymore. He pulled out the needle and quickly ran out of the room. Chapter 789. Testing Guan Xan. Nurse Guan Xan, help. My boss cut his hand. Can you please bandage it? Wang Shubbing pushed open the nurse's office door and asked Guan Xan. Guan Xan raised her head. She didn't think that it would be Kong Ming Ming and his gang again. Her heart was filled with disgust. How could she not know what Kong Ming Ming was trying to do? But Guan Xan already had someone she liked. There was no way she would do anything with him. Although her sweetheart already had someone else, Guan Xan still wouldn't fall in love with Kong Ming Ming. However, even though she disliked them, she couldn't just ignore them out of professional ethics. She was the only one in the nurse's office, so Guan Xan had no choice but to stand up. Guan Xan furrowed her eyebrows. This Kong Ming Ming was quite smart. Last time he tried to get close to her, but now he cut his hand again. Guan Xan had no choice but to help him first. Usually, the more urgent wounds would be treated first, and then the fees would be paid later. Can I take a look? Guan Xan asked. It's here, Guan Xan. I'm so unlucky. I caught a cold yesterday, and today I cut my hand. Sai, I'm so unlucky. Kong Ming Ming raised his injured left hand and said to Guan Xan. Guan Xan looked at the wound on Kong Ming Ming's hand. She was speechless. Did he need to bandage such a small wound? Most people would just apply some medicine or a band-aid and be fine. Why was this Kong Ming Ming so delicate? What's wrong? Kong Ming Ming saw that Guan Xan didn't say anything and asked. Guan Xan still didn't say anything. She was sure that Kong Ming Ming did it on purpose. Maybe even the wound on his hand was purposely made by him. Guan Xan was infuriated. How could this guy be like this? Guan Xan opened the cabinet and found a band-aid and gave it to Kong Ming Ming. Here, you can put it on yourself. I put it on myself? Kong Ming Ming was stunned. How are you going to bandage such a small wound? Guan Xan asked. Kong Ming Ming paused for a moment before agreeing with Guan Xan's reasoning. The wound was a bit small, so it wasn't wrong for Guan Xan to give him a band-aid. Then, can you help me? Kong Ming Ming wouldn't let go of any opportunity to get close to Guan Xan. Isn't your other hand fine? Guan Xan frowned. I'm a patient and you're a nurse. Shouldn't you help me? It's not like I'm not paying for it. Kong Ming Ming said, feeling wronged. Oh, that band-aid is a gift for me. It's free. Guan Xan didn't bother with Kong Xiaoming as she walked back to her desk and started reading her book. Kong Mingming had no choice but to stick a band-aid on his wound. He was thinking about how he could get information from Guan Xan and ask her about her relationship with Xiaofan. These words were really difficult to say. He didn't know how to broach this topic. Why aren't you leaving yet? Guan Xan waited for a while and realized that Kong Xiaoming was still standing in her office. She asked curiously, It's nothing. I was just thinking of leaving. Kong Mingming laughed and said, Oh, right, I came back yesterday to look for you, but I saw you with a girl who couldn't walk properly. It seemed like you were going to do something. Oh, Guan Xan replied meaninglessly. Is she your friend? Kong Mingming asked carefully, What does this have to do with you? Guan Xan didn't understand what Kong Mingming was trying to say. Ugh, nothing. Guan Xan's words made Kong Ming's heart beat faster. He felt that Guan Xan's words had a double meaning. What does this have to do with you? Was that a question or a rhetorical question? Could it be that Guan Xan knows about my relationship with Xiaofan? Kong Xiaoming's heart was getting more and more unsettled. Damn it, Xiaofan, this little bitch. She's not good at anything, but she's good at ruining things. If she really told Guan Xan about him and her, then he really wouldn't stand a chance. Kong Mingming wasn't discouraged by Guan Xan's cold attitude. He was quite good at wooing girls. When he first started wooing Xiaofan, Xiaofan was also cold. But didn't they still fall in love with each other? So Kong Xiaoming was confident that he could make Guan Xan fall in love with him. But the biggest obstacle was Fun. If Fun opened her mouth and told Guan Xan about their relationship, then Guan Xan would be on guard against him. If that happened, then Kong Xiaoming wouldn't have a chance anymore. After leaving Guan Xan's office, Kong Mingming stomped his feet angrily. Did you guys find anything? Master Ming, it seems like Guan Xan knows something, Zhu Xiaozhang said. I think so too. Why do I feel like there's more to her words? Does she know about me and Xiaofan? Kong Mingming was unhappy, but he couldn't ask Guan Xan directly. Master Ming, I don't think Guan Xan knows about you and Xiaofan. Wang Shubing shook his head. Oh, what do you mean? Kong Mingming was surprised, but his face showed a happy expression. Master Ming, think about it. If Guan Xan knew about this, she wouldn't be so cold to you. She would hate you. Plus, when you asked her about Xiaofan for the first time, if she knew the whole story, she wouldn't just give you an oh. She would probably mock you to vent her anger. Wang Shubing analyzed. That's right. That's true. Kong Mingming nodded and relaxed. Then it's easy. As long as Guan Xan doesn't know about it, then there's no problem. Master Ming, we can't let our guard down. Even if Guan Xan doesn't know about it now, she'll find out as soon as she interacts with Xiaofan. So, we need to take measures as soon as possible. Wang Shubing suggested. Yes, haven't we been discussing this matter before? Do you have any good ideas to make Xiaofan shut up? Kong Mingming was worried that Xiaofan would say something. If this matter wasn't solved, it would be a ticking time bomb. Master Ming, to be honest, if we want Xiaofan to shut up, I think we have to give her a sum of money to keep her mouth shut. Wang Shubin hesitated and said, I'm afraid Xiaofan still holds a grudge for what happened in the past. Whether it's physical or emotional damage, it's all very serious. She must hate you, Master Ming. So we have to compensate her to shut her mouth. Chapter 790. Visit and apologize. How much do we need to pay? Kong Mingming asked. I think at least this much. Wang Shubing extended his hand and hesitated. Wang Shubin raised a hand and hesitated. Now that Fun's got a relationship with Xiaobo and Lin Yi, her sights are much higher. Normal money won't be enough for her anymore. 500,000. It's a bit too much, but it's still acceptable. Kang Ming nodded. Okay, I'll talk to my family and ask them to give me the money. We'll go find Xiao Fun tomorrow morning. We need to settle this as soon as possible before anything else happens. It's best to sign an agreement with Xiao Fun tomorrow. Our 500,000 will be her compensation. After she signs the agreement, she won't look into what happened in the past and can't mention it to anyone else. Wang Shubing suggested. Of course. What if she doesn't want to pay up after we give her the money? Kang Ming nodded. The cut on my hand is too small. Does that mean we should make it more serious next time? There's no need to rush. Wang Shubing waved his hand. Master Ming, you caught a cold yesterday and cut your hand today. It's easy to raise suspicion. If you get injured again, Guan Xian will definitely feel that something's wrong. That's true, but I'm a bit scared when I think about making it more serious. A light cut is already so painful. How serious would it be? Kang Ming was a bit scared just thinking about it. The most important thing now is to settle Xiao Fun's matter. Today was the second time Qibing Real Estate officially contacted the slums residents. It was hosted by Zihua, Jinggubong, and Zhongfabai. The location was a temporary demolition office in front of the slums. The residents of the shantytown gathered in front of the demolition office early in the morning. Everyone was looking forward to this day. From their perspective, Qibing Real Estate must have come with sincerity this time. The forced demolition incident had caused a lot of trouble, and although it was settled privately, it still cost a lot of money. People who were close to Mrs. Tang all knew that Master Bing paid a huge price for this. From their perspective, Qibing Real Estate would learn from this lesson and discuss the compensation with the residents of the shantytown. Zihua smiled coldly as he looked at the expectant faces of the slum's residents. These people were truly laughably stupid. Did they really think that they'd be able to negotiate with them on equal terms just because of what happened with their forced demolition? How naive! Qibing Real Estate didn't have a lot of funds left, and they couldn't afford to compensate the slum's residents. Qibing Real Estate was in a hurry to develop and launch their first building, so they had to be decisive. Zhao Qibing couldn't wait any longer. He had been in Songshan for so long without any results. How was he going to answer to House Xiao? Although House Xiao, including his father, hadn't said anything yet, Zhao Qibing thought that House Xiao must be very disappointed in him. If he couldn't even deal with these unruly people, how could he be in charge of the Zhao family in the future? Zihua's plan this time was very simple. He would trick the slum's residents into coming to the demolition office and forcefully demolish them. The target of the demolition was the only building in the slums, a 3-story building made of red bricks. It was too troublesome to demolish one by one. Demolishing one or two wouldn't be effective. Only by making a group of people lose their homes would they be forced to accept the compensation from Qibing Real Estate. It would only take a few bulldozers to demolish the 3-story building. By the time the building was demolished, it would be too late for the residents to realize that something was wrong. Early in the morning, Xiao Fun's parents followed the others to the demolition office, leaving Xiao Fun at home. They thought that Xiao Fun's legs weren't very good, and they were afraid that Xiao Fun would be provoked again if there were any disputes during the negotiation. Just as her parents left, there was a knock on the door. Xiao Fun thought that her parents had forgotten something and didn't think much about it. She walked over and opened the door. However, she was stunned when she opened the door. What's wrong? Am I not welcome here? Kang Ming smiled as he looked at Xiao Fun in front of him. Damn, this girl was even prettier than before. If he wasn't so infatuated with her, he wouldn't mind playing with her for a while longer. You. Kang Ming, what are you doing at my house? Xiao Fun stared at Kang Ming in an unfriendly manner. If it was a month ago and Kang Xiaoming came looking for her, Xiao Fun would probably be so happy that she wouldn't be able to control herself. But now, Xiao Fun was nourished by a new love. She woke up from her infatuation and saw through Kang Ming's character. She cut off all thoughts of him. When she saw Kong Mingming, it was like she was looking at a stranger. She couldn't even be compared to a stranger. After all, that hatred wasn't something that could be easily let go. This man had ruined her entire life. Although Kong Xiaobo treated her well and never despised her, Xiaofan always felt that she owed Kong Xiaobo. She couldn't give him a complete body. This made Xiaofan feel guilty whenever she thought about it. And the culprit that caused all this was Kong Mingming. Why would Xiaofan treat him nicely? Kong Mingming came alone. He didn't bring Wang Shubin and Zhu Xiaozhang because he wanted to put on a show for Xiaofan. He needed to show enough sincerity in order to shut Xiaofan up. Bringing Zhu Xiaozhang and Wang Shubin was to show that he was a young master. So, he didn't bring any of them so that Xiaofan wouldn't feel bad about it. Xiaofan, I came today to talk to you. Can you let me in first? Kong Mingming said with a smile. He tried to make his words sound sincere. There's nothing to talk about between us. Xiaofan shook her head and was about to close the door. Kong Mingming was shocked. He couldn't let Xiaofan close the door. Otherwise, wouldn't he come here for nothing? He quickly grabbed the door and said, Xiaofan, don't close the door. I came today to apologize to you. Apologize? Apologize for what? Xiaofan frowned, but she didn't immediately close the door. Xiaofan, I was young and frivolous in the past. I brought you a lot of pain. I came here today to apologize to you, Kong Mingming said with sincerity. Chapter 791. 500,000, however. Kong Mingming wasn't at ease when he heard those words. He had heard about Xiaofan's matter when he transferred to another school. Xiaofan was mentally ill because of him. So how could she not hate him? Xiaofan, I'm really here to apologize sincerely today. Furthermore, I want to do my best to give you some compensation. Kong Mingming said, when I passed by the slums, I saw that there was some kind of mobilization meeting. Your house is going to be demolished, right? I think that buying a new house requires money as well. Why don't you let me in first? What do you mean? You want to give me money? Xiaofan felt that it was unbelievable. She had seen through how cruel and unscrupulous Kong Mingming was. Why did she find it hard to believe that Kong Mingming was going to give her money? Yeah, I was the one who hurt you in the past. It's my fault. Your legs are broken now, and you need money to see a doctor. I'm going to pay you a sum of money in one go. It can be considered as my atonement for what I did in the past. Kong Mingming nodded. Really? Xiaofan was still in disbelief, because Kong Mingming's words and actions today were too unbelievable. He was completely different from the Kong Mingming in the past. Of course it's true. Kong Mingming nodded. Xiaofan, don't doubt my sincerity. Look, it's not good for me to stand at the door. You don't want others to hear what happened between us, right? That's not good. You have your own life now. Why don't we talk about these scandals in the house? You can say what you want to say here. All the neighbors in this building have gone to the mobilization meeting. Aside from me, there's no one else. Xiaofan still had no intention of letting Kong Mingming in. If that's the case, that's fine too. Kong Mingming thought that since they had already left, it would be the same to say it here. Thus he continued, Xiaofan, we're adults now. Let's not talk about who was right and who was wrong in the past. I'll compensate you with 500,000. What do you think? 500,000? Xiaofan was shocked. Xiaofan already felt that it was inconceivable when Kong Mingming mentioned compensation. Now that he wanted to compensate another 500,000, Xiaofan started to doubt Kong Mingming's motive. Yes, but after you take the money, we need to sign a brief agreement. I hope that you won't tell anyone about what happened between us, including the people around you. Kong Xiaoming said, after all, your boyfriend is my cousin. It's not good for House Kang's reputation if you keep bringing up things like this. Kong Xiaoming said. That's it. Xiaofan was still a little doubtful. Kong Mingming's reason was reasonable, But the key question was there anyone in the Kong family who didn't know about this? During the birthday banquet last time, Kong Xiaoming seemed to have exposed his own weakness and revealed this matter, right? Yes, if you don't believe me, you can take a look at the agreement between us. As long as you can do these, then the 500,000 is yours. As Kong Mingming said this, he took out an agreement from his bag and passed it to Xiaofan. Xiaofan took a look at the agreement. It was exactly what Kong Mingming said. It was for her not to pursue the past matters and not to mention the past matters to others. That was all, and she could get a one-time compensation of 500,000 from Kong Mingming. In fact, Xiaofan didn't pursue Kong Mingming's thoughts at all. She could only blame her own stupidity for the previous matters. If she really pursued it, what could she do to Kong Mingming? She couldn't pursue this kind of matter if one was willing to take the hit and the other was willing to take the hit. However, Xiaofan didn't want Kong Mingming's money. Although she was poor, she had a backbone. Lin Yi was Tang Yun's boyfriend, and Tang Yun would reject him even if he gave her money. Moreover, Kong Mingming was just an ex-boyfriend who hurt her. However, Xiaofan also knew that her family needed the money, so she couldn't make up her mind. She decided to give Kong Xiaobo a call to discuss it. Early in the morning, before Kong Xiaobo went to school, he called Lin Yi. Today, Qibing Real Estate was going to the slums to discuss the relocation. Kong Xiaobo was worried about Xiaofan, afraid that her family would be at a disadvantage. However, his words didn't carry much weight, and he knew that he wouldn't be able to do anything even if he went, so he asked Lin Yi to accompany him. Lin Yi drove Mingyao's Audi S5 today. Since the miss allowed him to drive, there was no reason for Lin Yi to reject. The car arrived at the school gate, and Lin Yi pressed the horn twice. Kong Xiaobo was stunned, as he had never seen Lin Yi's car before. "Boss, your car." Kong Xiaobo looked at Lin Yi's Audi S5 in surprise. "Mengyao's." Lin Yi smiled. "Get in, my car was blown up by Zihua. I was going to find him even if you didn't mention it. I'll go to the slums and ask him for money." The verbal agreement between Lin Yi and Zihua yesterday was no longer effective. After the car exploded, their relationship was torn apart. Zihua didn't believe that Lin Yi didn't know how the car exploded. As a result, their relationship entered a tense state again. The 5 million from before was wasted, and Lin even wanted to ask for money for the car. "Ugh, Zihua blew up your car." Kong Xiaobo was surprised. "It's a long story," Lin Yi said. "Let's talk on the way." "Boss, thank you so much." Kong Xiaobo was a little embarrassed. As a follower, not only did he not help his boss, but he also troubled Lin Yi every day. Now he even needed to trouble Lin Yi for Xiaofan's family. "It's nothing. I already said that I'm going to find Zihua." Lin Yi didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Lin Yi had always been like this. He was very sincere to his friends and didn't ask for anything in return. In the car, Lin Yi told Kong Xiaobo about how he accompanied Tang Yan's family to ask for money from Zihua. He also told Kong Xiaobo why the car was blown up. Damn! Xiaobo was shocked when he heard that the collapse of Qibing's skyscraper was caused by Lin Yi again. His boss was a little too strong, wasn't he? Qibing's skyscraper was built twice and collapsed both times. Kong Xiaobo was completely speechless. Only Lin Yi could do such a thing after collapsing Qibing's skyscraper and making them pay for the car. When they were about to reach the slums, Kong Xiaobo's phone rang. He took it out and saw that it was Xiaofan. Chapter 792. Promise him, first, Xiaobo. Kong Mingming came to my house. Xiaofan had to discuss it with Kong Xiaobo as a form of respect for Kong Xiaobo. Kong Mingming? What's he doing here? Kong Xiaobo and Kong Ming had basically severed all ties with each other. Ever since Dr. Kang's birthday banquet, the two families had stopped interacting with each other. He said that he did something wrong to me and wants to compensate me by giving me 500,000. Xiaofan told Kong Xiaobo about Kong Mingming's intentions. Ah, what did you say? He came to your house to give you money? Kong Xiaobo was stunned. Did Kong Ming change his personality? It can't be, right? For someone like him to give money to Xiaofan, did he take the wrong medicine? Yes, and he even brought a contract with him. He said that he would give me the money if I sign it. Xiaofan said, the contract says that I can't look into what he did in the past, and I can't tell anyone about what happened between us. Xiaofan was a little embarrassed when she said that. After all, she felt that she had let Kong Xiaobo down. Kong Xiaobo frowned. He wanted Xiaofan to reject Kong Mingming. We're poor, but we're ambitious. Wouldn't it make us look weak if we take Kong Mingming's money? However, he knew that this wasn't the time to be impulsive. Xiaofan's family was lacking money, and Kong Xiaobo knew that as well. However, he was different from Lin Yi. He couldn't give too much help to Xiaofan's family, and this money was undoubtedly a timely help to Xiaofan's family that was facing demolition. Let me ask my boss and see what he says. Kong Xiaobo decided to ask for Lin Yi's opinion. If Lin Yi also insisted on not letting him take the money, then he would rather suffer a little. However, when Kong Xiaobo told Lin Yi about Xiaofan's words, Lin Yi didn't even think about it and said, Yes, do you still want free money? If he didn't want the enemy's money, he would be treating himself unfairly. But tell her not to sign the agreement just yet. Wait until we check it out and see if there's any problem. All right, then I'll tell her now. Kong Xiaobo thought that Lin Yi was right. Why wouldn't he want his opponent's money? Didn't Lin Yi still chase after Zihua for money? Didn't he feel that it was inappropriate? It seemed like he was thinking too much. If he didn't want the enemy's money for the sake of face, that would be stupid. Kong Xiaobo quickly told Xiaofan about Lin Yi's intention and told her not to reject it. She just had to wait for her and Lin Yi to go over. Okay. Xiaofan heard Kong Xiaobo say that Lin Yi wanted her to ask for money, and she felt grateful towards Lin Yi. This money was undoubtedly too important to her family. It was equivalent to sending charcoal in a snowy day. Even if Qibing Real Estate Company could compensate according to the standard, it was undoubtedly a drop in the bucket for the families. Because the housing prices in Songshan weren't cheap, how could there be so many houses in remote areas for them to buy? If they followed the current compensation, they wouldn't be able to buy a new house at all. They could only rent a house, and it wouldn't be convenient for them to live in that way. With this 500,000, Xiaofan's family would be able to buy a big house. Xiaofan was really afraid that Kong Xiaobo would ask her to reject it, so she could only reject it. Xiaobo said that he'll be here soon. Come in and wait for a while. I'll sign the contract with you when he's here and confirm it. Xiaofan got Kong Xiaobo's reply and calmed down. She let Kong Mingming into the house since it wasn't appropriate to stand in the hallway. Okay. Kong Mingming heard Xiaofan's words and immediately felt that there was a chance. He nodded happily. Don't worry, look at the contract and follow it from now on. We'll be even. Oh. Fan nodded and went into the room. She started reading her book and ignored Kong Xiaoming, who was sitting on the sofa. However, it didn't matter to Kong Mingming. It didn't matter if Xiaofan ignored him or not. As long as Xiaofan took the money and kept her mouth shut, he could successfully pursue Guan Xan. Kong Mingming felt extremely happy as he thought that his plan was about to come to fruition. Your house hasn't changed after so many years. It's still so broken, huh? Oh. Xiaofan frowned. She wanted to get angry, but she felt that it wasn't worth it to get angry at someone like Kong Mingming. She casually agreed and continued reading. A few years ago, Kong Mingming came to Xiaofan's house and said that he would buy a house for her family. Xiaofan was so touched that she gave her true love and body to him. In the end, Kong Mingming was done with her and felt that Xiaofan was a bit clingy. He was afraid that she would stick to him, so he quickly got rid of her. When Lin Yi drove past the shantytown, he saw a few big open-air tents and metal houses. The words Demolition Office and Qibing Real Estate's logo were written on it. However, Lin Yi didn't stop. He could ask Li Zihua for money at any time. The most important thing now was to go to Xiaofan's house and solve the problem of Kong Mingming. To be honest, Lin Yi didn't quite believe that Kong Xiaoming would be so kind as to compensate Fan on his own accord. With Kong Xiaoming's arrogant personality, there was no way he'd lower his head for no reason. This reminded Lin Yi of what happened yesterday. Li Zihua compensated Tang Yun's house for no reason. He must have some ulterior motives. That was why Lin Yi didn't let Xiaofan sign the agreement with Kong Mingming directly. He wanted to see it first. Boss, why do you think Kong Mingming would suddenly give money to Xiaofan? Would he have that kind of thoughts towards Xiaofan again? Kong Xiaobo also felt that something was wrong. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Haha, that's not the case. If Kong Mingming went to look for Xiaofan, wouldn't he be slapping his own face? I think that he has a conspiracy, but we don't know what he's planning. Lin Yi said, let's go and see. Kong Xiaobo nodded. Now that Lin Yi was helping him, he felt at ease. When the car was about to reach Xiaofan's house, it couldn't go through. There were a few trenching machines and bulldozers blocking the road. Lin Yi frowned and pressed the horn twice. The drivers of the excavators and bulldozers were chatting by the roadside when they heard the car honk. They were a little annoyed at first, but when they saw Lin Yi's red Audi S5, they put on a smile. Someone who could drive a car like that had to be rich and powerful, and they couldn't afford to mess with them. Chapter 793. Kong Mingming's true purpose. If it was someone else, he wouldn't bother to explain, but Lin Yi was driving a sports car and looked like a rich kid. Who knew what his background was? He might even know the boss of the corporation, Master Bing. How would they dare to offend him? Demolish the building? Lin Yi was startled and looked at the direction they were pointing. Wasn't that Xiao Fun's building? Xiaobo, on the other hand, was taken aback as well. These people wanted to tear down Fun's building? But Xiao Fun was still at home. What should he do? Boss! Just as Kong Xiaobo opened his mouth, he was stopped by Lin Yi. He patted Kong Xiaobo's shoulder and gave him a comforting look. Oh, then when are you going to start? Lin Yi looked at Xiao Fun's building and asked calmly. Who are you? Why are you asking so many questions? The driver looked at Lin Yi vigilantly. Oh, I want to wait for you guys to finish demolishing the building before going over. I'm going to the old house over there to get some stuff. Didn't you say that it's going to be demolished? I don't care about the compensation. I'll take the stuff away and you guys can demolish it however you want, Lin Yi said with the tone of a rich young master. Oh, we'll start at 8 o'clock sharp. It might be over at 10 o'clock. But we're only demolishing this building today. We won't demolish the old house. You can come and get it tomorrow, the driver said to Lin Yi after hearing what Lin Yi said. That's fine too. I'll come tomorrow. Lin Yi turned the car around and drove away. He circled around the shanty town and stopped at a hidden place. Boss, they're going to demolish the building. Xiao Fun is still inside. Kong Xiaobo said anxiously. It's only 7:35. There's still 25 minutes left. We have enough time. Lin Yi smiled and got off the car. Let's go and see Kong Mingming. But boss, why didn't you tell them that there's still someone in the building? Kong Mingming didn't understand. If I told them, there wouldn't be a good show. You'll know in a while, Lin Yi said as he ran towards Fun's red brick 3-story building, entering the family's unit. Xiaobo didn't know what was going on, but seeing how confident Lin Yi was, he didn't say anything else out of his trust in Lin Yi. He followed Lin Yi up the stairs in a hurry. Listen to me later. Don't talk too much, Lin Yi said as he knocked on the door. Okay, boss, Kong Xiaobo nodded. He would listen to Lin Yi's words unconditionally. Lin Yi knocked on the door, and Xiao Fun quickly came to open the door. When she saw Kong Xiaobo and Lin Yi, she was overjoyed. You're here! Kong Mingming also stood up from the sofa. When he saw Kong Xiaobo and Lin Yi, Hatred flashed through his eyes, but he quickly hid it. Xiaobo Lin Yi, I'm here to apologize to you with sincerity. Lin Yi naturally saw the hatred that flashed through Kong Mingming's eyes. He didn't believe that Kong Mingming was here to apologize with sincerity. Kong Mingming probably had an ulterior motive for coming here. Kong Xiaobo remembered Lin Yi's words. He didn't speak much and ignored Kong Mingming. Instead, he turned to look at Xiaofun. Xiaofun, are you all right? I'm fine. Kong Mingming came here, and he was very polite. He didn't do anything overboard. Xiaofun shook her head. Kong Xiaobo was relieved. He was afraid that Kong Mingming would say some insulting words to provoke Xiaofun. Xiaofun had just recovered from her illness, so how could she endure any provocation? Kong Mingming, right? Just tell me what your motive is. Lin Yi sat on the sofa and looked at his watch. I'll give you 10 minutes. It was 7:40 p.m. right now. 10 minutes would be 7:50 p.m. There was still plenty of time. Kong Mingming was angry in his heart. What's with Lin Yi's attitude? I'm here to give you money, but you have this kind of attitude? You're really unreasonable. But seeing that Kong Xiaobo and Xiaofun didn't speak, it seemed like Lin Yi was still the leader here. If he wanted to achieve his motive, he had to talk to Lin Yi. He could only say, I feel that I owed Xiaofun in the past. So this time, I'm here to compensate her a sum of money. It can also be considered as making up for my previous mistake. Do you think I'll believe what you said? Lin Yi sneered. All right, just tell me what your motive is. Xiaofun doesn't need you to compensate her. Ugh. Kong Mingming was stunned. He didn't expect Lin Yi's attitude to be so unyielding, but he couldn't leave at this moment. How could he leave before he achieved his motive? In other words, he must give the money today. Kong Xiaobo and Xiaofun were also surprised by Lin Yi's unyielding attitude. Wasn't he chasing Kong Mingming away? Didn't he say that he would accept the money? But since Lin Yi was the leader here, they didn't interrupt and waited for Lin Yi to deal with it. All right, our Kong family is going to be promoted to a noble family soon. So I don't want to hear any rumors about me outside. Kong Xiaoming sighed and said, I don't want them to tell anyone about what happened between me and her, especially in public. For example, in the hospital with the nurses and the like. Don't tell anyone. Lin Yi listened to Kong Mingming's half-truth and half-lies. He only understood his real motive when he heard the last sentence. Hospital nurse? Isn't that Guan Xan? Lin Yi sneered in his heart. This guy wanted to pursue Guan Xan, but he was afraid that Guan Xan would find out about the things he did in the past. Moreover, he might have seen that Xiaofun and Guan Xan knew each other. That's why he wanted to find Xiaofun to shut her mouth. 500,000 could be considered as a hush money. Isn't that enough? If you have a motive, just say it. Isn't it just hush money? All right, we'll accept it. Lin Yi waved his hand and said impatiently, Where's the money? It's so early in the morning. I don't have a place to withdraw money, but it's already in my bank card. Kong Mingming took out a bank card from his pocket and said to Lin Yi, In the bank card? How do we know if there's money in the card? Lin Yi didn't believe it. This, you can check at the bank. There's a bank nearby. Kong Mingming said. All right, we'll check at the bank first. If there's really money in it, we'll come back to sign the agreement. Lin Yi took the bank card from Kong Mingming's hand and said to him, Then I'll follow you. Kong Mingming wasn't assured. This is Xiaofun's house. Are you afraid that we won't come back? Lin Yi smiled. Chapter 794. There's someone else in the building. No problem. Lin Yi said, Since I promised you, I won't go back on my word. Your agreement is not binding. So since you can take out the money, you can only trust us. Kong Mingming thought that what Lin Yi said made sense. The agreement was just a formality. It really couldn't bind anything. Even if Xiao Fan didn't say it, Lin Yi and Kong Xiaobo could still say it. You can't make everyone sign a confidentiality agreement, right? Thinking of this, Kong Mingming was relieved. Then I believe you. Come back quickly. Is there a TV here? Let me watch for a while. Yes, but the sunlight is too bright. Xiao Fun, close the curtains and turn on the TV for Kong Mingming. Lin Yi said to Xiao Fun. Although Xiao Fun was curious as to why Lin Yi would treat Kong Mingming so well, she still did as she was told. The TV in Xiao Fun's house was the most old-fashioned spherical 21-inch TV. It had long been obsolete, but it could still be put up with. Kong Mingming was happy and didn't mind. He sat on the sofa and watched the children's channel with great interest. Lin Yi brought Kong Xiaobo and Xiao Fan downstairs. It was exactly 7:55 p.m., and the workers on the bulldozer and trenching machine were ready to come over to demolish the house. Kong Xiaobo finally understood what Lin Yi meant. He wanted to keep Kong Mingming in Xiao Fan's house and wait for the bulldozer to demolish it. What the heck, isn't this too ruthless? Could it smash Kong Mingming to death? Kong Xiaobo looked pitifully at the 3-story building behind him and followed Lin Yi and Xiao Fun to where Lin Yi parked his car. Before the three of them reached the car, they heard the sound of a bulldozer and trenching machine. Then, accompanied by a loud rumbling sound, half of the 3-story red brick building was pushed down in an instant. Ah! Xiao Fan covered her mouth in shock as she watched in disbelief as her house was demolished in an instant. Find a bank and withdraw the money. Lin Yi wasn't in the mood to care about Kong Xiaoming's life or death. It was better if this kind of person died. He didn't kill him anyways. Let House Kong go find Zhao Qibing. But Kong Xiaoming... Xiao Fan had never harmed anyone before. Seeing Kong Xiaoming get smashed in front of her, she couldn't accept it. And my house? I have to tell my parents. You already have 500,000. Why care about your house? Kong Xiaobo was open-minded. It's better to smash someone like Kong Mingming to death. Who asked him to hurt you so deeply? Xiao Fan sighed. Since Kong Xiaobo said so, she could only nod. If she said too much, it would make Kong Xiaobo think that she still had feelings for Kong Mingming. Lin Yi drove Xiao Fan and Kong Xiaobo to a bank and withdrew the money smoothly. It was an anonymous savings card. He didn't know what Kong Mingming was thinking. Why did he hand over the money so easily? He used Xiao Fan's name to open an account, and the 500,000 fell into Xiao Fan's pocket. Lin Yi, on the other hand, drove back to the slums. At this time in the slums, the residents of the 3-story red brick building were in an uproar. They didn't expect that Sihua would dare to demolish their house after what happened to Tang Yin's house. And this time, it wasn't a 1-story house, but a 3-story red brick building. Standing beside Sihua, Gubong, and Fabai was a group of bulky men dressed in black with sunglasses on. The residents of the 3-story red brick building were displeased, but they didn't dare make a move. Sihua, Gubong, and Fabai were standing beside a group of bulky men. Xiao Fan's parents thought that since their house was a building, they could at least ask for more compensation, right? When the time came, they would ask Mrs. Tang to ask Lin Yi for help and see if they could get a cheaper house with a better location. The residents of the other buildings had similar thoughts. Since their house was a building, shouldn't they get more compensation? But now, these people's dreams were shattered. Their houses were gone, and they didn't even have the capital to negotiate. They had to take the money, even if they didn't want it. What else could they do? Of course, this was secondary. When they saw that their house was demolished, the first thing that came to their parents' mind was that Xiao Fan was still at home. What would happen to Xiao Fan if the house was demolished? Xiao Fan's mother wanted to run home like crazy, and so did Xiao Fan's father. They followed the residents of the 3-story red brick building and ran home together. The first thought of the residents of the slums who had their houses demolished was to run home as well. Their furniture and appliances were still in their houses, and they wanted to save as much as they could, right? However, they were all blocked by the burly men. These burly men wouldn't let them go back. People had almost died during the previous demolition, so there was no way Sihua was going to let them get away this time around. That was why he got some of Zhong Fabai's men to stop them. "Let me go back. My daughter is still in the building. Move away!" Xiao Fun's mother ignored the burly men's obstruction and tried to push them away, rushing out of the human wall. The burly man panicked after being pushed by Xiao Fun's mother. He grabbed her hair and pushed her back. How could Xiao Fun's mother be a match for the burly man? She screamed in pain as a bunch of her hair was pulled out and her face was slapped by the burly man. "Stay here if you don't want to die!" "Mom!" Xiao Fun saw her mother being beaten up by a burly man just as she got out of the car. She was so scared that she was on the verge of tears. She didn't care about her weak legs and quickly ran towards her mother. Kong Xiaobo, on the other hand, was worried about Xiao Fin, and seeing his future mother-in-law being beaten up, he was furious as well. He wanted to fight the burly man with his life. Naturally, Lin Yi wouldn't let Kong Xiaobo be at a disadvantage. He wasn't a match for these burly men. Lin Yi locked the car and rushed over with Kong Xiaobo. Before Kong Xiaobo could make a move, he kicked the waist of the burly man who was beating up Xiao Fin's mother. The kick sent the man flying, and he landed on the ground with a bang. His eyes rolled back, and he fainted. Kong Xiaobo knew that Lin Yi was strong, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to be able to create such a strong effect with just one kick. He was surprised, but he didn't forget to remind Lin Yi, "Boss, be careful." The other burly men didn't expect Lin Yi to rush over and start beating people up, and in such a ruthless manner. They immediately stopped what they were doing and surrounded Lin Yi. Chapter 795. Lin Yi came again. Why the hell was he so unlucky? Of all people, he had to hit the mother of Lin Yi's woman. How could Lin Yi not be angry? And the agreement he made with Lin Yi yesterday was automatically nullified with the explosion of the bomb. His relationship with Lin Yi had once again fallen to a freezing point. It was reasonable for Lin Yi to come here and cause trouble. However, Zhong Fabai's men actually wanted to surround Lin Yi, and Sihua was immediately afraid. "Damn it, you guys don't know what's good for you." Lin Yi was a master that even a mystic-class master had to rest in bed. "You idiots still want to cause trouble for Lin Yi? Aren't you looking for death? Besides, if these people were beaten down by Lin Yi, then the slums wouldn't need to be demolished. If the men who intimidated the residents were beaten up by Lin Yi, who else could be intimidated?" "Stop!" Sihua couldn't help but yell as he sprinted over. However, Sihua was a step too late. One of the men who was on good terms with the man who was kicked by Lin Yi wanted to avenge him and made a move first. The result was the same as the previous man. He was sent flying and crashed into the body of the previous man. His eyes rolled, and it was unknown if he was dead or alive. Sihua ran over, sweating profusely. He couldn't help but sigh. "Lin Yi, why are you here? Didn't we agree yesterday that you wouldn't interfere with the slum's demolition?" "I didn't interfere. My friend's girlfriend's mother was beaten up and I can't fight back?" Lin Yi didn't put Sihua in his eyes at all. He was too lazy to explain. "Where's my car money? You blew up my car. When are you going to pay me?" The men under Zhong Fabai were dumbfounded. On one hand, they were afraid of Lin Yi's skills. Before they could see what was going on, two of them were already down. On the other hand, it was strange that Lin Yi dared to speak to Sihua with such an attitude. Wasn't he afraid of the power behind Sihua? "Naturally, I won't forget your money." Sihua sighed inwardly at his bad luck. She just had to hit the mother of Lin Yi's little brother's girlfriend. Although their relationship was complicated, it was understandable for Lin Yi to intervene. "I will pay for the medical fees." "Oh, what about the demolition fees?" Lin Yi continued to ask. "I will pay the demolition fees according to the rules," Sihua said through gritted teeth. This was one of the conditions he'd promised Lin Yi, and now that Lin Yi wouldn't interfere, this was the only compensation he could offer. If Lin Yi were to interfere again, he'd have to call it quits. In the face of a tyrant like Lin Yi, Sihua really had no temper at all. He couldn't kill him in the open, so he played dirty and blew up his building. He couldn't afford to offend this person for now, but couldn't he just hide from him? Oh, all right, I'm here to supervise you. Lin Yi nodded. It was just a small matter for him, but for the residents of the slums, it was a huge benefit, according to the standard compensation. Although they couldn't use the compensation money to buy a new house, at least they could afford a loan to buy a house. It was also a psychological comfort for them. Xiao Fun's parents were relieved when they saw that Xiao Fun was fine. Xiao Fun's mother also forgot the pain on her face. She hugged Xiao Fun lovingly. Child, it's good that you're fine. You scared me to death. It's Xiaobo and Lin Yi who saved me. Xiao Fun sighed, but Kong Mingming might be dead. Kong Mingming? Crushed to death? How did he die? Is that true? If he's smashed to death, it'll be a great thing. Xiao Fun's mother was stunned for a moment before she said happily. Looking at her mother's expression, Xiao Fun knew that her mother hated Kong Mingming to the core. She was actually so happy when she heard that he was dead. Although Xiao Fun hated Kong Xiaoming, she felt bad for not stopping him when she saw him getting crushed to death with her own eyes. She could have saved him, but she didn't. She was a kind person. Even if Kong Mingming did some unforgivable things to her, Xiao Fun never thought of killing him. Besides, it's a long story. Xiao Fun told her mother about Kong Mingming's visit this morning, including the fact that Kong Mingming compensated her with 500,000. Are you serious? He gave you 500,000? It seems like he's not a bad person. Xiao Fun's mother was stunned. She didn't expect Kong Mingming to compensate her daughter 500,000. He wasn't completely heartless, but he still had some conscience. She was envious of Tang Juanqing's mother's family, saying that Tang Juanqing's leg was broken and they actually paid 3 million. Xiao Fun's leg was broken too, but no one paid. She didn't expect it to become reality today. Life was really magical. Sometimes things would change overnight. I don't know, but he told Lin Yi that it's hush money. He doesn't want me to mention the past with him in front of others. Xiao Fun said to her mother. Lin Yi said that Kong Mingming wanted to woo Nurse Guan Xian in the hospital. He was afraid that I would cause trouble for him. So he gave me 500,000. Ah, is that so? A dog can't stop eating sh*t. Xiao Fun's mother was furious when she heard that Kong Mingming gave her money. Then we should take this money. It's a waste if we don't take it. We should take all the money from this kind of person in the future. Xiao Fun heard that her mother said the same. She didn't feel the pressure in her heart anymore and nodded. Fun's mother was very happy. Lin Yi's arrival had forced Sihua to compensate the slum's residents according to the standards, and had gotten 500,000 out of nowhere. It was a pleasant surprise, and it was more than enough to buy a big house with this amount of money. They'd even have money left for appliances, furniture, and renovations. She decided to look for Tang Juanqing's mother in the afternoon and ask her to bring her to see a house. Her house was already gone, so she had to settle this matter as soon as possible. On the other side, Zihua's tone suddenly changed. He wanted to compensate the slum's residents according to the standard. The slum's residents who were harassed stopped making a fuss. In fact, their request was very simple. As long as they could compensate according to the standard, it would be enough. They didn't expect a rich and powerful real estate company like Sihua to compensate them more money. In fact, they didn't dare to go against Sihua. Sihua's name was very famous in Songshan. He was the boss of the underworld. Chapter 796. A tragedy for Kong Mingming. Just as he was thinking about it, Kong Ming Ming suddenly felt that the ground was trembling. Was it an earthquake? In the next moment, an even stronger tremor came. Kong Ming Ming felt as if the house was hit by a meteor. He staggered from the tremor. Kong Ming Ming ran to the window subconsciously. He was shocked to see a few trenching machines and forklifts pushing the house he was in. "Hey, there's someone in the house!" Kong Ming Ming panicked and shouted at the window. However, the noise from the trenching machines and bulldozers was so loud that no one could hear Kong Ming Ming's voice. It was drowned out by the noise. "Don't demolish it. There's someone in the house. Hey, hey, hey!" Kong Ming Ming almost peed in his pants. "There's someone in here." No one bothered. In fact, no one could hear Kong Ming Ming's voice. F***CK, your second uncle. I'm still in the house." Kong Ming Ming panicked and shouted at the top of his lungs. However, no one could hear his voice. Kong Ming Ming was out of ideas. He could only think of a way himself. If he jumped from the third floor, he would probably die. Even if he didn't die, he would be crippled. Kong Ming Ming wouldn't do such a stupid thing. However, it was too late for him to go down the stairs. The bulldozers downstairs had already destroyed all the doors. Kong Ming Ming thought for a long time and couldn't think of any good ideas. He didn't expect himself to be so unlucky. Why was he forced to demolish his house when he was waiting for Xiao Fun to come back? He lived in a wealthy family and had never experienced something like this. He never thought that such misfortune would happen to him. Kong Ming Ming was out of ideas. He was afraid of being crushed to death. He could only crawl under the bed. He heard that it was safe under the bed during an earthquake. In an instant, the 3-story red brick building became a pile of rubble. Zhu Xiaozhang and Wang Shubing waited for a while. Kong Ming Ming didn't come back. They became anxious and dialed Kong Ming Ming's number. The phone rang more than 10 times, but no one picked up. Even after the phone automatically hung up, no one picked up. Wang Shubing was anxious. He dialed again and waited for a while. Finally, someone picked up. Kong Ming Ming was buried in a pile of rubble. Fortunately, Xiao Fan's house was on the top floor. If it was on the first or second floor, no matter how sturdy the bed was, it wouldn't have been able to withstand the pressure. Before, the house had completely collapsed. Kong Ming Ming only felt that his head hit something and fainted. When he woke up again, he was woken up by the ringing of his phone. Kong Ming Ming subconsciously reached for his phone. He felt a sharp pain in his legs. It seemed like they were broken. However, Kong Ming Ming was glad that he didn't die. "Hey, Wang Shubing, come and save me. Xiao Fan's house was demolished. I'm in the rubble now. I think my legs are broken. It hurts." Kong Ming Ming cried as he picked up the phone. "Ah, Master Ming, wait for me. We'll go now." Wang Shubing was shocked when he heard Kong Ming Ming's words. Why was Xiao Fan's house demolished? Why was Kong Ming Ming still inside? Wang Shubing and Zhu Xiaozhang called the police and the ambulance. Then they ran to the demolition office and found Sihua, who was negotiating with the owner of the house. "Our boss was buried inside the building. Who's the person in charge here?" Zhu Xiaozhang shouted arrogantly as he entered the office. Sihua thought that someone was trying to kill him. He raised his head and saw that it was Zhu Xiaozhang. He frowned. He knew this Zhu Xiaozhang. He was a follower of Dr. Kang's family, Kong Ming Ming. When the Qibing skyscraper was completed, Kong Ming Ming brought Zhu Xiaozhang and Wang Shubing to participate. "Zhu Xiaozhang, what are you doing?" Sihua wasn't afraid of him. Even if Dr. Kang's family was famous, House Xiao was much more powerful than House Kong. "Ah, Sihua bro." Although Zhu Xiaozhang knew that Zhao Qibing was in charge of the slums, he thought that it was a small fry. He didn't expect it to be Sihua. But even if it was Sihua, he still had to say, "Sihua bro, my boss, Kong Ming Ming, is in that 3-story red brick building over there. You guys just demolished the building." Sihua's head buzzed. Kong Ming was still in that building? What was Kong Ming doing there? Although House Zhao wasn't afraid of House Kong, they had to give an explanation for smashing Kong Ming to death. This wasn't like smashing an ordinary person. House Kang's influence was huge. House Zhao even had to buy a batch of golden creation from House Kong every year. What? Kong Ming is still there? Sihua asked hurriedly. Yeah, we've already called the police and the ambulance. Hurry up and tell those demolition workers to stop. My boss is still alive, but his leg is broken, Zhu Xiaozhang said. Sihua let out a sigh of relief when he heard that Kong Ming wasn't dead. As long as he wasn't dead, everything would be fine. He just had to pay a sum of money for the broken leg. House Kong wouldn't say anything about it. Gubong Fengbai, you guys stay here and take care of the compensation agreement. I'll go take a look. Sihua felt that today was really a bad day. He had just settled the matter with Lin Yi, and now Kong Ming of House Kong was smashed. After settling the matters here, Sihua, Wang Shubing, and Zhu Xiaozhang ran towards the 3-story red brick building. Fortunately, Sihua's order was only to demolish the red brick building, so the trenching machine and bulldozer didn't do anything else after demolishing the building. Otherwise, if they pushed the building a few more times, Kong Ming would be dead. The police's rescue was timely. Soon, Kong Ming was carried out of the rubble by the firemen. At this moment, Kong Ming's face was covered in blood. After a preliminary check, only his head was smashed and his legs were broken. There were no other problems. It was a blessing in disguise. Sihua stayed behind to cooperate with the police investigation, while Wang Shubing and Zhu Xiaozhang followed the ambulance and sent Kong Ming to the First People's Hospital. At this moment, Sihua wasn't afraid of anything. He had already reached an agreement with the residents of the building. Even if the police were to investigate, it wouldn't matter. As for Kong Ming's incident, it was just an accident. Kong Ming had a bitter expression on his face as he lay in the ambulance, moaning in pain. He had never suffered like this since he was young. Now that both his legs were broken, it was unimaginable pain. Fuck, Sihua, I won't let you go. Kong Ming said fiercely, You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.